Becoming a ninja starting from Naruto. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination, so don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like, and if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 1 Emiya Shiyuan. In Konoha village, in a dimly lit underground chamber, a sealed crystal coffin sat in its center. This crystal coffin was somewhat strange, intricately painted, yet contained only half a corpse. If one peered through the coffin, one could even clearly see the body's organs, making it resemble a human specimen for medical study. This scene made the chamber seem particularly eerie. The silver-haired man standing in the chamber, long accustomed to this eerie environment, stared at the crystal coffin before him, his red pupils revealing a cold, resolute look. Lord Tobirama, a masked Anbu ninja walked in, dragging a tied-up ninja in his hand, and reported in a low voice, "In the past few days, many enemy ninjas have sneaked into the village to spy on information. We searched the cells. The Sand Village ninja who sneaked into the village last night has the strongest chakra in the entire prison. What about the big brother?" Senju Tobirama realized that he was talking to his subordinates when he was halfway through his speech, and changed his address. "How is Lord Hokage now? Still receiving treatment?" the Anbu ninja said with some concern. "No one has ever seen Lord Hokage injured so seriously." Lord Miro said that his life may be in danger. Senju Tobirama's face suddenly became ugly, and he was silent for a while before he spoke again and asked, "Is there any unusual movement from the Uchiha clan?" "Not at the moment." The Anbu ninja shook his head lightly and continued, "Ever since the news that Uchiha Madara was killed by Hokage came out yesterday, the people of the Uchiha clan have not found any other abnormalities from them except that they are a little scared. Keep close surveillance," Senju Tobirama ordered, then looked down at the bound Sand Village ninja and said gravely, "Have the other Anbu teams strengthen patrols in the village, and assign a team to guard outside. No one is allowed to approach this forbidden technique room." "Yes, Lord Tobirama." The Anbu ninja hurriedly retreated. The tightly bound Sand Village ninja whimpered, looking up at the silver-haired man, his face eager to say something. "I know what you're trying to say, but I'm not interested in your explanation." Senju Tobirama glanced at him with disdain, as if he were looking at a dead man. "You sneaked in here just to spy on Big Brother, or maybe you just want to know that he and that Madara guy died together. Things like that are better left to dreams." Senju Tobirama raised his head and looked at the crystal coffin before him, as if he wanted to use it to prove his point to those scoundrels in the ninja world who wanted to challenge Konoha. "This crystal coffin is the origin of medical ninjutsu throughout the ninja world. Emiya Shiyuan, you should have heard of this name." The Tsunagakure ninja looked at the crystal coffin in surprise. Emiya Shiyuan? This name was truly legendary. The entire ninja world knew this sage who lived thousands of years ago. This sage created the concept of medical ninjutsu and even standardized a system of medical ninjutsu. Legend has it that he treated patients without regard for their identities. Legend has it that he could cure any serious illness. Legend has it that he saved more people than the population of an entire country. Most revered of all, Emiya Shiyuan's death was also a moment of greatness. To ensure that the ninja world's medical ninjutsu would be passed down, to facilitate the study of medicine, and to help the ninja community overcome its prejudice against surgical dissection, Emiya Shiyuan had his body separated and made into two crystal coffins before his death, leaving them to the ninja world. Even during the turbulent Warring States period, when ninjas fought and destroyed each other, they tacitly agreed not to damage Emiya Shiyuan's two crystal coffins. Even though most people in the ninja world had never seen one. The Sand ninja looked at the half-dead body in the crystal coffin, feeling a mixture of surprise and respect, and then a sense of unease. What relationship could the past have with the present? A medical ninja who had been dead for 1,000 years, no matter how skilled, couldn't possibly be resurrected to help treat the first Hokage, could it? Could the crystal coffin contain the secrets of medical ninjutsu? Our Senju clan has always been renowned for our mastery of chakra control, and we have always been the ninja world's most suitable ninja for practicing medical ninjutsu. Legend has it that this crystal coffin containing Emiya Shiyuan's human specimen was personally designated by him before his death for the ancestors of the Senju clan. Even though most of the clan forgoes the practice of medical ninjutsu for combat, they have always considered this crystal coffin a source of pride within the clan. Senju Tobirama narrowed his eyes, his fingers tracing the intricate patterns on the crystal coffin, his voice gradually lowering. I never imagined that one day I would destroy it with my own hands. The Sand Ninja's eyes flashed with horror. But for Big Brother everything can be sacrificed. Senju Tobirama stared at the crystal coffin in front of him. A ray of chakra light appeared on his palm, and he slapped the crystal coffin heavily. Crash! The crystal coffin suddenly shattered. The half-body that had been lying inside fell out. The Sand Ninja sitting on the ground watched the half-body fall to the ground. This scene was so terrifying that his eyes were instantly filled with fear. Only Big Brother can guarantee the piece of Konoha. Senju Tobirama's palm quickly formed a hand seal, and his voice was as calm as an ancient well. Even if the hope is only 1 in 10,000, even if it desecrates the soul of the dead, it must be done at the end. Senju Tobirama's palm slammed the ground, and his voice suddenly became cold. Ninja technique, Impure World Reincarnation technique. A pitch-black spell appeared under Senju Tobirama's palm. Spells rapidly flowed across the ground, forming 2 distinct barriers around the Sand Ninja and Emiya Shiyuan's half-corpse. As the Sand Ninja watched in horror, Emiya Shiyuan's half-corpse dissolved into a cloud of dust and ash, slowly accumulating upon the living. The Sand Ninja felt an unprecedented sense of suffocation. The despair of impending death filled his eyes with fear, and dust and ash gradually obscured his vision until, finally, the Sand Ninja's body was completely engulfed. Senju Tobirama stared intently at the figure slowly emerging from the ashes, his heart finally at ease. At least it seemed his technique had succeeded. Impure World Reincarnation technique. This technique, using the life of a living person and the flesh of a sufficient number of deceased individuals as materials, summons the souls of the dead from the underworld to the living world. Under normal circumstances, Senju Tobirama would have no chance of resurrecting someone who had died 1,000 years earlier. Because no corpse could be preserved for more than 1,000 years, especially during the chaotic Warring States period, many bodies eventually became wandering ghosts, buried in mass graves. However, Emiya Shiyuan, the founder of medical ninjutsu, was an exception. His body, carefully preserved as a medical specimen, allowed Senju Tobirama to summon and resurrect him. Dust billowed in the secret room. The impure earth body slowly transformed. The summoned souls of the deceased transformed their bodies into their former selves. A strange smile curved the impure earth body's lips, then quickly vanished, a distorted image reminiscent of the impure earth body's form before its completion. Finally, the impure earth body was complete. The deceased, returned from the underworld, looked somewhat youthful, his face etched with a compassion belying his age, perfectly matching the image the world had of him. The deceased slowly opened his eyes, gazed upon his body, and a look of confusion deepened, as if he couldn't understand why he was still alive, or why he was there. The technique was a success. The resurrected deceased was still conscious. Senju Tobirama breathed a sigh of relief. After all, this was his first time using the forbidden technique of Impure World Reincarnation, a 1 in a million chance for his elder brother, and it had indeed succeeded. Is this Mr. Emiya Shiyuan? Senju Tobirama's expression was somewhat solemn and serious. He introduced himself in a deep voice. I am Senju Tobirama, the practitioner who summoned you from the underworld to the living world. I apologize for disturbing your peace, but we need you to treat someone very important to the ninja world, so I have been forced to desecrate your soul. I hope you won't blame me for this offense. Is your last name Senju? Emiya Shiyuan seemed to relax at this. If it was to save a life, it's not unforgivable. The medical ninja, renowned for his noble character, did not resent the interruption of his own soul's peace. As usual, he began to pay attention to the patient's condition. Where is the patient? In the village. I'll lead the way. Senju Tobirama's mood gradually relaxed, and he secretly retracted his fingers that were trying to control the other party's actions. If Lord Emiya Shiyuan seemed to be a truly good person as the rumors had said for thousands of years, there would be no need to bother negotiating with him. Of course. Senju Tobirama did not look at the other point. Because Senju Tobirama did not control the other party's actions, nor did he feel his emotions, Emiya Shiyuan's eyes were limited by the deadness of his impure world body. When he mentioned the patient, his eyes did not contain any special concern. Perhaps saving so many people had become a habit. Perhaps the patient's location was not important at all. For him, what was more important was whether his strength was still there. Ninja system reconnecting. Welcome to Reconnect, Ninja Emiya Shiyuan. Unfinished quests still exist, preventing me from leaving this world. Unfinished ninja quests, 2/3, SSSSS level quest, defeat this world's ultimate villain, the immortal chakra progenitor Kaguya Otsutsuki. SSSSS level quest, defeat this world's final protagonists, Uzumaki Naruto, 6 Paths mode, and Uchiha Sasuke, Rain Sharingan. The system is still there. The power once gained remains. A flash of red gleamed in Emiya Shiyuan's eyes. This time-spanning scheme had, fortunately, finally reached this era. New author, new book, please bookmark. Chapter 2: The Origins of the Senju and Uzumaki clan. Konoha village wasn't prosperous. At least, it wasn't prosperous enough in this era. Many of the buildings were sloppily constructed, likely improvised structures, as the villagers busied themselves with their duties. Emiya Shiyuan didn't mind the village's humbleness, he simply surveyed its scenery with curiosity, intrigued by the sights he'd seen since his resurrection. This is the village we live in, Senju Tobirama signaled the Anbu to impose martial law while chatting with Shihara about the era. It's been over 1,000 years since Emiya-sama's time, 1,000 years, Shihara sighed, a sense of loss in his heart. No wonder the style of the houses is so different from what I've seen before. After discussing the architecture of Konoha, Shihara seemed to suddenly realize something, and a surge of joy washed over him. 1,000 years have passed, so medical ninjutsu must be very advanced now. At least back in our time, there weren't any techniques for resurrecting the dead. The wisdom of later generations is truly astonishing. Senju Tobirama's expression suddenly grew subtle. I'm a little ashamed, Senju Tobirama sighed, hoping the other party wouldn't be too disappointed with the medical standards of this era. The forbidden technique that resurrected Lord Emiya was used for combat. Even I was lucky to have saved Lord Emiya's sanity. The medical ninjutsu and medical technology of this era are still the same as when Lord Emiya created them. Is that so? Emiya Shiyuan's face visibly darkened, as if his ideals had been shattered. Have humans finally used the power of chakra for combat? For a medical ninja, war was undoubtedly the most disgusting thing. Because the Senju clan had always preserved Emiya Shiyuan's crystal coffin, Senju Tobirama had heard many stories about him since childhood. He could guess Emiya Shiyuan's ideals, but he couldn't help but hope that his predecessor would face reality. It's all about survival. To survive the brutal Warring States period, we can only continuously utilize chakra to refine our combat abilities. Senju Tobirama, openly recounting the chaotic Warring States period, praised his brother in front of Emiya Shiyuan, hoping he would understand his brother's importance in that era. Fortunately, the war is finally over. My brother, Senju Hashirama, with his immense power, completely ended the chaos that had plagued the Warring States period and established a peaceful system between the nation and the ninja villages. We invited other ninja clans to establish Konoha, allowing the ninja who once fought each other to put aside their hatred and become one village, relying on each other. As for the future, Senju Tobirama paused, taking the opportunity to offer a promising future for the founder of medical ninjutsu from 1,000 years ago. As long as my brother's injuries can be healed and his lifespan is not affected, his prestige will surely ensure that peace in the ninja world remains. Medical ninjutsu will undoubtedly advance even further in the future. Emiya Shiyuan's gaze grew subtle. However, Emiya Shiyuan ultimately refrained from directly exposing Senju Tobirama's hollow plan. Instead, he sighed softly, "Don't worry, I never fail my patients. Besides, your last name is Senju." Senju Tobirama's expression was unaffected. In truth, the Hokage of Konoha village had always been unconcerned about his reputation. If he could achieve his goals, he didn't care about the consequences. But this saint, deified 1,000 years ago, seemed to have a story behind him. Senju Tobirama remembered the relief when Emiya Shiyuan mentioned the Senju clan, and couldn't help but want to spy on some information. Sir, Emiya should have some connection with our Senju clan, because the children of our clan have grown up listening to your stories. It can be said that there is a little connection, if you are the descendants of Ashura. Ashura? Yes. Emiya Shiyuan followed Senju Tobirama and casually mentioned the history he had experienced. I had a friend named Ashura. He couldn't use the surname left by his father, so I helped him take 2 surnames as a backup for his descendants. One surname is Senju, the other surname is Uzumaki. Emiya Shiyuan looked at Senju Tobirama, sighed and said, "It seems that the descendants of Ashura still chose the surname Senju." Senju Tobirama's pupils suddenly widened. Senju Tobirama didn't expect that the surname of his clan actually came from this. This is not fake. because these two surnames do exist. The ninja clans that emerged from these two surnames continue to this day. The Senju and Uzumaki clans happen to be distant relatives of the same ancestor. Actually, both the Senju and Uzumaki clans were used. The Uzumaki clan of the other surname is our distant relative. Senju Tobirama took a deep breath and said solemnly, "How unexpected." The Senju and Uzumaki clans both share the same surname, Lord Emiya. He knew his brother would surely nag at him once he regained consciousness. He had used the forbidden technique of Impure World Reincarnation to resurrect a deeply respected elder, one who seemed to have a close relationship with their ancestor. Time flies, and the world changes. Emiya Shiyuan's tone was filled with vicissitudes and nostalgia, as if he was missing an old friend. "I never thought that after so much time, the descendants of Hashirama still exist." Senju Tobirama remained silent. For Senju Tobirama could tell that Lord Emiya and his ancestor, Hashirama, must have been close friends. This was a good thing. At least he knew the other party would be mostly friendly. Although Senju Tobirama believed that the reputation of someone like Emiya Shiyuan, who had stood the test of history and time, was strong enough, he was extremely cautious when facing his elder brother's question. This personality made him unable to fully trust forces beyond his control. For example, the Uchiha clan in the village. Although the Uchiha clan was also a member of Konoha village, Senju Tobirama could not fully trust this clan whose power was uncontrollable. Especially a few days ago, the previous Uchiha clan leader, Uchiha Madara, who had left Konoha for many years, suddenly controlled the Nine Tails to attack Konoha, even injuring his elder brother so severely. It was precisely because of this that Senju Tobirama ordered the Anbu to strengthen surveillance of the Uchiha clan. Although Uchiha Madara was finally slain by his eldest brother, and these Uchiha clan members were likely innocent, Senju Tobirama couldn't guarantee that a dangerous figure like Uchiha Madara wouldn't emerge from among them in the future. After all, his eldest brother's appearance within the Senju clan was a special case, but the possibility of Uchiha Madara emerging from within the clan wasn't impossible. The Uchiha clan possessed the Kekkei Genkai Sharingan, forged from malevolent chakra, which could evolve without warning. Perhaps sooner or later, another as dangerous and evil as Uchiha Madara would emerge. This presented a hidden danger. "I don't know," Emiya Shiyuan asked, "are Indra's descendants still around?" Suddenly, he mentioned an unfamiliar name, as if concerned that Senju Tobirama wouldn't understand, and recounted this story of Indra. "Indra and Hashirama are brothers. In the beginning, Indra's philosophies differed from ours. Hashirama and I believed chakra should be a force for understanding and salvation, while Indra believed it was a force for world domination. Eventually, we parted ways. I don't know the surnames of Indra's descendants." Emiya Shiyuan spoke at this point, seemingly completely clueless about Indra's descendants, as he meticulously described their characteristics. But his descendants should have inherited a miraculous and powerful Kekkei Genkai. This Kekkei Genkai generates unique chakra in the eyes, and even, after evolution, allows them to use powerful and bizarre eye techniques. That eye technique is called the Sharingan. Senju Tobirama volunteered. The Hokage's eyes darkened. It was surprising that Indra and Hashirama were brothers, and that troublesome clan had connections to the Senju clan. But, the Uchiha were inherently evil. The Uchiha clan's ancestor was truly so evil. Compared to the righteous Senju clan ancestor Hashirama, the Uchiha clan ancestor Indra actually has the evil idea of using chakra to rule the world. Even a medical ninja with noble character like Emiya Shiyuan is unwilling to associate with the evil ancestor of the Uchiha clan. New author, new book, please collect it. Chapter 3: The Power of Emiya Shiyuan. Now, their last name is Uchiha. The Uchiha clan and the Senju clan have been fighting for generations. Senju Tobirama, as if he had found a kindred spirit, spoke of his dissatisfaction with the Uchiha clan. "My elder brother defeated the Uchiha clan and persuaded them to join Konoha, but among them there are still evil people like their ancestors." Senju Tobirama did not notice a single problem. The Hokage assistant of Konoha village had been listening to the stories told by Emiya Shiyuan, and his trust in him was rapidly increasing. These were the stories he loved to hear. However, Senju Tobirama could not possibly doubt a person who lived thousands of years ago. He only knew that he had found from Emiya Shiyuan a piece of strong evidence of surveillance of the Uchiha clan. "Big brother," Senju Tobirama's eyes darkened as he mentioned someone he disliked. "He was also injured by an inherently evil Uchiha? That guy's name is Uchiha Madara." Senju Tobirama made no secret of his hatred and disdain when he mentioned this name. Big brother invited him to help end the chaos, but that guy betrayed Big brother's trust. Not only did he leave Konoha, but when he returned, He even attempted to destroy Konoha and kill Big Brother, plunging the ninja world back into the flames of the Warring States period. Fortunately, Uchiha Madara was finally dead. Big Brother was finally no longer bound by that guy. Emiya Shiyuan sighed, as if feeling a little sad. It sounds like the man named Uchiha Madara you mentioned is as warlike as his own ancestor. Back then, Hashirama wanted everyone to understand, but Indra wanted to dominate the ninja world. They are obviously two brothers, but they started fighting for different ideals, and they didn't stop until they died. Humph, this is the evil inherited in the blood. Senju Tobirama's face was very ugly, and he criticized the Uchiha clan strongly. Just like the evil bloodline limit Sharingan inherited from generation to generation by the Uchiha clan, the power of the Sharingan. Emiya Shiyuan talked about the history of the Sharingan. Back then, I discovered that the power of the Sharingan would slowly make Indra become extreme. Yes, I have also studied the power of the Sharingan. This bloodline limit must be controlled by emotions. Senju Tobirama knew the Sharingan very well, and he told it all sincerely as if he had met his soulmate. Because the evolution of the Sharingan is affected by the chakra born from extreme emotions. This also means, the more powerful the Uchiha, the more likely they are to go to extremes. The more extreme the Uchiha, the more likely they are to become powerful. This is an unsolvable dilemma. If an Uchiha's emotions aren't channeled properly and he refuses to settle down, he will eventually become extremely dangerous. He must monitor them. He must monitor them strictly. He must monitor them centrally and strictly. Senju Tobirama secretly decided to implement his plan. Konoha didn't have enough manpower to monitor every Uchiha, so he had to centralize his surveillance. These Uchiha were currently companions. He needed to establish a new department for them. This department would be managed exclusively by the Uchiha clan, and the Uchiha settlements would be grouped together, with Anbu personnel secretly dispatched to closely monitor them. Konoha Hospital. The security there was extremely tight. The aftermath of the battle between the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama, and Uchiha Madara was so tumultuous that the aftermath altered the topography of the ninja world, forming a canyon at the side of the battle. This battle couldn't be concealed from the other ninja villages. Ninja villages from other countries sent people to infiltrate Konoha to gather information about the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama. Because the first Hokage's safety was crucial to the peace of the ninja world, Konoha had no choice but to keep all intel regarding him tightly sealed. Sasuke, Senju Tobirama suddenly called out. Emiya Shiyuan's eyes twitched. No, this doesn't seem right. How did Sasuke suddenly appear? Shouldn't this be just a few years after Konoha's founding? According to his memories from his past life, this should have been just after the battle at the Valley of the End between Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. How could Sasuke suddenly appear? Lord Tobirama, a young ninja strode forward. The young ninja glanced at Emiya Shiyuan, who was standing beside Senju Tobirama, a hint of confusion in his eyes and a hint of wariness in his voice. Lord Tobirama, this is Lord Emiya Shiyuan. Senju Tobirama had great trust in this young ninja, and said in a deep voice, Sasuke, everyone should be able to rest assured now, and there is no need to worry about the situation in the village. I used forbidden techniques to resurrect Lord Emiya and asked him to treat my brother's injuries. You should have heard of his name. My brother's injuries will no longer have any problems. Is it the greatest medical ninja, Lord Emiya? A hint of amazement flashed across the young ninja's face, and he looked at Emiya Shiyuan in front of him with disbelief. I grew up hearing the name of Lord Emiya, but I never thought that one day I would be able to see the real person. This is Sarutobi Sasuke, the captain of our Konoha's Jonin squad. Senju Tobirama introduced the young ninja to Emiya Shiyuan, and then ordered Sarutobi Sasuke, Sasuke, keep Lord Emiya's affairs strictly confidential from the people in the village. Although Senju Tobirama holds the power of Konoha as the assistant of Hokage, he does not practice a complete dictatorship. During the time Konoha was in turmoil due to Hashirama Senju's injury, the other ninja clans in the village were also uneasy and had a certain degree of knowledge of the situation. If an accident truly occurred, Konoha would undoubtedly face hostility from other ninja villages. At this juncture, Tobirama Senju had to unite the village's ninja clans to prevent Konoha's recent collapse due to the problems of his eldest brother. The Sarutobi clan was one of Konoha's larger ninja clans. The Ino Shikacho clan, a combination of the Nara clan, the Akimichi clan, and the Yamanaka clan, was headed by the Sarutobi clan during the Warring States period. Sarutobi Sasuke had consistently intervened to stabilize the other ninja clans, preventing panic within the village. His introduction of Emiya Shiyuan was also a reassurance to Sarutobi Sasuke. By assigning Sasuke the responsibility of protecting his eldest brother, Tobirama was also conveying his trust in the clans, at least compared to the independent Hyuga and Uchiha clans. "I'll take Lord Emiya to the ward first." Senju Tobirama patted Sarutobi Sasuke's shoulder, took the initiative to step forward to lead the way, and praised Emiya Shiyuan. Sarutobi Sasuke is a ninja with a tough temperament. He is also the patriarch of the Sarutobi clan. In many cases, even I can't compare to him. Speaking of which, his child Sarutobi Hiruzen is also a very good student. At this age, he has already mastered their clan's summoning technique. When Senju Tobirama said this, his eyes looked at Emiya Shiyuan with a somewhat obscure look, as if he hoped that Emiya Shiyuan could mention some stories about the ancestors of the Sarutobi clan. Emiya Shiyuan looked at Senju Tobirama in surprise. Did he want him to talk about something in the past of the Sarutobi clan? He didn't know the past of the Sarutobi clan, he only knew the future of the Sarutobi clan. Emiya Shiyuan met Senju Tobirama's gaze and shook his head gently. "In my time, there was no name of the Sarutobi clan. In the era when the ninja sect was first founded, in the ninja sect, only the Sage of Six Paths had his own surname, Ninja Sect, Six Paths Sage." Senju Tobirama paused, staring at Emiya Shiyuan, and asked subconsciously, "Could it be that Lord Emiya has seen the legendary Guts?" Emiya Shiyuan was a little surprised, and looked at Senju Tobirama curiously. "Doesn't the Senju clan have any records about the Six Paths Sage?" Senju Tobirama shook his head, then nodded. "For our time, the Sage of Six Paths is the mythical creator god, holding the Amanuma spear to quell the disaster of the ninja world. Spreading chakra in the ninja world, and founding the ninja sect in ancient times. Not bad." Emiya Shiyuan was somewhat non-committal about the Six Paths Sage, then casually dropped a bombshell. "I thought the Senju clan would have a record of this, since the Six Paths Sage is the father of your clan's ancestor, Hashirama, and the Uchiha clan's ancestor, Indra." Senju Tobirama's heart couldn't stop beating. He had never heard of such a secret. The ancestors of the Senju and Uzumaki clans were both the Six Paths Sage. One could imagine what this news about the ancestor would mean if it leaked out. It was a pity that this news came too late. Of course, it would have been even better if the other party wasn't the ancestor of the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha clan was already unruly, and if they knew their ancestor was the Six Paths Sage, they would probably become even more arrogant in the village, right? "The Six Paths Sage is a good man." Emiya Shiyuan ignored Senju Tobirama's concerns and continued, "When I first proposed the concept of medical ninjas in this world, the Six Paths Sage was the first person to donate his body for human experimentation and medical research after his death, of course." Emiya Shiyuan didn't mention another truth. The Six Paths Sage's remains weren't donated voluntarily. Because the ninja system refreshed a task to retrieve the Six Paths Sage's remains, he had to rely on an ally to complete this task. Only after obtaining the Six Paths Sage's remains did he truly gain the strength to survive in this world. Since crossing over, it's a pity that the Six Paths Sage's remains didn't contain the ability to achieve immortality, otherwise he wouldn't have needed to transcend death to reach this day. Name: Emiya Shiyuan. Emiya Shiyuan. Gender: male. Occupation: ninja. Chakra attributes: fire, wind, thunder, earth, water, yin, yang. Chakra energy: A. Chakra is the fusion of physical and spiritual energy in the human body. It can enhance a person's physical strength and also affect their lifespan. The host's chakra energy level is SSSS+ during his lifetime. Currently in the infinite chakra state of Impure World Reincarnation, the maximum chakra energy that can be output and used is limited to A by the Impure World body, which is approximately equal to 1 card, a unit of chakra measurement. Keki ability would release S comes from the commission reward for recovering the remains of the divine tree. By using chakra as the source of life to activate a special bloodline limit, the technique performed can absorb the enemy's chakra to make the technique more powerful. The current would release power is limited by the Impure World body. Natural Samsara I.S. comes from the commission reward for recovering the remains of the Six Paths Sage. It has a bloodline network that communicates yin and yang and controls life and death. It is more powerful than the ordinary Samsara I and can use many mysterious I techniques. It can also use Susanoo, which is more powerful than the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and is comparable to a god. Currently limited by the Impure World body, he cannot use the ultimate I technique of the Rinnegan, Kamisama. The eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, S, is a reward from the commission to recover the remains of the Six Paths Sage. It has powerful visual observation abilities, is naturally endowed with powerful illusion abilities, and is pregnant with the magical power of the eye technique. It can activate the ultimate eye technique, the complete form of Susanoo, battle mode curse seal mode, use the characteristics of the remains of the sacred tree to absorb natural energy for self-cultivation, which can be used to generate curse seals containing natural energy. When the chakra energy in the host's body is exhausted, the curse seals on the body will continuously provide chakra through the conversion of natural energy, and can even be transformed into curse seal mode for combat, sage mode, self-cultivation according to the curse seal mode. The sage mode is derived from the perfect balance of physical energy, spiritual energy and natural energy to generate sage chakra. In sage mode, the ninja's perception and combat capabilities will be even stronger. Six Paths mode, a reward from the commission to recover the remains of the Six Paths sage. It is a perfect combat mode that masters the power of yin and yang, can strengthen all the power in the body, and can use the truth-seeking jade to fight. Currently using the Six Paths mode will immediately release the Impure World Reincarnation and return to the underworld or the gap between the underworld and the living world. Skills swordsmanship, S. Self-cultivation physical skills, S. Self-cultivation, medical ninjutsu, S. Self-cultivation allows the use of internal chakra to heal patients. Mastering the power of yang can even cure any disease, currently restricted by the impure world body. Yang power cannot be used. Wood release, S. Is a reward for a commission to recover the remains of the Six Paths sage. No hand seals are required to cast wood release techniques. Fire release, S. Is a reward for a commission to recover the remains of the Six Paths sage. No hand seals are required to cast fire release techniques. Wind release, S. Is a reward for a commission to recover the remains of the Six Paths sage. No hand seals are required to cast wind release techniques. Water release, S. Is a reward for a commission to recover the remains of the Six Paths sage. No hand seals are required to cast water release techniques. Earth release, S. Is a reward for a commission to recover the remains of the Six Paths sage. No hand seals are required to cast earth release techniques. Lightning release, S. Is a reward for a commission to recover the remains of the Six Paths sage. No hand seals are required to cast lightning release techniques. Yin Yang release, S. Is a reward from the commission to recover the remains of the Six Paths sage. It allows the use of Yin Yang release techniques. Mastering the power of Yin and Yang greatly increases the power of all techniques, currently restricted by the impure world body. Yin and Yang cannot be used. Summoning technique, S. Requires self-cultivation. The summoned blood pact is with a slug from the wet bone forest, allowing the remote summoning of summoned beasts to fight together, currently restricted by the impure world body. Summoned beasts with blood pacts cannot be summoned. Kamui, S. Originates from the Mangekyou Sharingan's space-time eye technique, creating a unique Kamui space, allowing the caster's body to instantly enter the Kamui space to avoid any attack, and can also quickly absorb objects from a distance to launch attacks. Currently limited by his impure world form and chakra level, he cannot unleash the Kamui's full power. Kana, S. This technique, derived from the Rinnegan's ultimate eye technique, creates a hidden defensive mirror around the body. This mirror absorbs all spell information encountered by the host, making it known to the host and reflecting any incoming spell attacks. The spell's consumption must not exceed the host's chakra energy limit. Currently limited by his impure world form, he cannot unleash the Kamui's full power. On the surface, Emiya Shiyuan appears quite powerful. In reality, Emiya Shiyuan's strength is indeed quite formidable. Simply using any spell without the need for hand seals gives him an unparalleled advantage in battle. Furthermore, he possesses the ultimate Kekkei Genkei of the Eternal Mangekyou Sharingan and the Rinnegan, and even the Six Paths mode, which surpasses ordinary ninjas. However, his impure world form still prevents him from unleashing his true power. What a pity. He resurrected a little too early. Emiya Shiyuan looked at Senju Tobirama walking ahead. Senju Tobirama was not someone easily deceived. This guy is used to wanting to control everything. Emiya Shiyuan noticed it the moment he was resurrected. Senju Tobirama wanted to try to control himself, but only because he was a kind person did he temporarily give up the idea. What a pity. If an evil person used the Impure World Reincarnation technique to resurrect himself, he could deceive them and use the Rinnegan he left in this world to truly resurrect. A day to remember Orochimaru. Today is 7,000 words. Chapter 4, You think I'm an old-fashioned guy? In front of the ward at Konoha Hospital, Senju Tobirama sincerely hoped that Shihara Emiya would not reveal the secrets of ancient times to others, especially his elder brother, Hashirama Senju. Because he knew what kind of person his elder brother was. Once his elder brother knew that the ancestors of the Senju and Uchiha clan were brothers, and even descendants of the Sage of Six Paths, he would be more tolerant towards the Uchiha clan. This would hinder his future plans to suppress the Uchiha clan. In fact, if possible, Senju Tobirama would rather Shihara Emiya only make the evil Uchiha ancestor Indra public, so that it would be easier for him to suppress the Uchiha clan. However, Senju Tobirama knew that Shihara Emiya was an upright man, and he must have known that these words were only meant to suppress the Uchiha clan, and he probably would not agree to do so. Therefore, Senju Tobirama's words were very cautious. Lord Emiya, the situation in Konoha is very unstable right now. Senju Tobirama's voice was heavy, and he began to lie without hesitation. If these secrets from ancient times were leaked, people would definitely talk about it. Although that guy Uchiha Madara wants to destroy Konoha, we still want to consider the Uchiha who join Konoha as our companions. Once the villagers know the story of Indra, they will undoubtedly suspect that the Uchiha are born evil, and they will definitely reject the Uchiha even more. Emiya Shihara's expression was a little strange. What's the matter? Are you bullying me for being an old antique? I'm just dead, not old. Konoha village's second Hokage, Senju Tobirama, hopes that the village will not reject the Uchiha. How can this be a joke? Besides, weren't you the one who led the rejection of the Uchiha? However, Senju Tobirama was very good at justifying himself. The Hokage's statement was truly impeccable. In order to integrate the Uchiha clan into Konoha, Big Brother has always been very preferential to the Uchiha clan. Once he knew that the ancestors of the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan were brothers, and he had to kill his old friend Uchiha Madara to protect the village, and felt that he owed his friend, he would definitely treat the Uchiha clan closer. In this case, the other ninja clans in the village will think it is not fair if the people in the village knew that our ancestors Ashura and Indra were brothers. They will definitely start to question Big Brother's unfairness. Big Brother is the first Hokage of Konoha. The relationship between the various ninja clans in Konoha is extremely fragile now. If someone questions that the Hokage's attitude is not fair, it will easily cause the peace that was achieved with great difficulty to collapse. Senju Tobirama went around in a big circle in his words and returned to his original starting point. Your Excellency Emiya, for the sake of peace in Konoha and the ninja world, I can only ask you here to seal up these ancient ninja clans in secret. Emiya Shihara really couldn't find a reason to refuse the other party. After all, Senju Tobirama's words were pleasant, and his tone was full of moral superiority. His words were a stark challenge to Emiya Shihara. Surely, as a good man from the ancient times, he wouldn't want to see the ninja world plunged into another chaotic war? Being a good person these days is so hard. To be a good person, one must be prepared to be morally blackmailed. Fortunately, Emiya Shihara was even better at this. I can only try not to say the wrong thing. Emiya Shihara shook his head, explaining hesitantly, because in our time, people often used chakra to communicate during spiritual practice. People didn't hide their thoughts or lie to their companions. I'm truly sorry, I can only do my best. Emiya Shihara's face shone with a hint of apology, hoping that Senju Tobirama would understand his noble character. After all, I'm not very good at hiding my true feelings. I should be the one to say sorry. Senju Tobirama didn't resent Emiya Shihara. He sighed deeply, a sense of longing for the ancient times Emiya spoke of. I've also heard some legends about the Six Paths Sage. It's said that when he founded the shinobi clan, people respected and understood each other. I never thought these legends would be true. Actually, they're not absolute. Emiya Shihara rubbed his brow sheepishly and casually explained. For example, the shinobi clan couldn't understand the thoughts of the Uchiha ancestor Indra, so he later chose to leave the clan and try to use the power of the Sharingan to destroy the shinobi village. In the end, Ashura combined everyone's chakra to defeat him. What? Senju Tobirama heard this familiar tone and subconsciously denounced Indra, that inherently evil Uchiha ancestor. This behavior. It's exactly like Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara left Konoha, the place he founded, and also wanted to destroy it. In the end, his eldest brother killed him, thwarting his evil plot. Uchiha Madara and his ancestors were not good people. Speaking of which, Shihara Emiya changed the subject, complimenting Tobirama Senju. You have a great relationship with your brother. Such harmonious brotherly relations are truly rare. As it should be, Senju Tobirama couldn't help but feel a sense of emotion, remembering his older brother's eagerness to protect him as a child. After all, my older brother has always taken care of me since I was a child. Shihara Emiya was a really nice guy. At least Tobirama Senju thought he had a very pleasant conversation with him. Based on Shihara Emiya, it could be inferred that the ninjas of ancient times were all good people, and that era must have been a true paradise on earth. Well, except for that inherently evil Uchiha ancestor. Let's go in. Senju Tobirama pushed open the ward door, his attitude toward Emiya Shihara becoming more humble. We can't do anything about Big Brother's injuries, so we can only entrust him to you, Lord Emiya. That's not necessary. Emiya Shihara waved his hand and turned to walk into the ward, his back becoming serious. Don't worry, I'm a medical ninja, and I won't let my patients down. The ward was filled with a faint fragrance of flowers. Emiya Shihara's gaze fell on the man lying on the bed. The man had long black hair, his body tightly wrapped in bandages. He lay motionless with his eyes closed, his breathing even. The first Hokage, Senju Hashirama. Undoubtedly the most powerful ninja of this era. Big Brother has never been this weak. Senju Tobirama stood beside Emiya Shihara, his face grim. The battle with Uchiha Madara a few days ago nearly exhausted his chakra. Let me see. Emiya Shihara's fingers rested on the patient's wrist. Would release ninja. Emiya Shihara seemed a little surprised and fell into deep thought. In theory, the source of wood release is the power of the sacred tree. Ashura awakened would release with a chakra bestowed by the Sage of Six Paths. This kind of power is unlikely to be inherited by future generations. Big Brother awakened would release after he became an adult. Senju Tobirama immediately wrote down the secret mentioned by Emiya Shihara, and then took the initiative to remind Emiya Shihara to pay attention to the patient. Sir Emiya, how is his condition? Don't worry. Emiya Shihara looked at Senju Tobirama, and took the initiative to comfort him. The patient's self-healing ability is very strong, but because his chakra is almost exhausted, his injuries have not recovered yet. As long as the chakra recovers, he will be fine. Senju Tobirama thought the other party was talking nonsense, because even he could see the condition of his big brother. However, Emiya Shihara paused and talked about the problem that concerns Senju Tobirama. The patient has overused his self-healing ability, causing cells to divide and regenerate faster, which has damaged his lifespan. In addition, he has used too much of his life energy to enhance the power of wood release. This situation is still quite troublesome, rather troublesome. Instead of being nervous, Senju Tobirama's face relaxed a little. In other words, can Lord Emiya solve it? In ancient times, this was a small problem, as long as I used the power of Yang to treat it. Emiya Shihara's eyes narrowed slightly, and he seemed to be a little regretful. However, in this state, I am no different from a dead person, and there is no way to use the power of Yang. If only I could truly and perfectly resurrect Pia book by an old author. An Naruto fan work from the Big Brother Juzi Buhurwang. Ninja school teacher, I can become stronger by teaching. Chapter 5 How could you have such an extravagant idea? Sometimes, it's better not to be too blunt. Emiya Shihara couldn't quite bring himself to tell Senju Tobirama that if he truly resurrected himself, he could heal his elder brother. Senju Tobirama was a suspicious person, and if he brought it to light, his opponent would undoubtedly suspect his resurrection was a conspiracy. While it was a conspiracy, it was precisely because of this that it required careful planning and meticulous care, otherwise it would be easily uncovered. However, Senju Tobirama was somewhat naive, unconcerned with the question of whether Emiya Shihara could truly be resurrected. He was solely focused on the nature of the Yang energy that could resolve his elder brother's lifespan. Sir Emiya, what is the Yang energy? Senju Tobirama's brow furrowed as he analyzed the matter to himself. This energy seems to be related to Yang attribute chakra. I remember that Yang attribute chakra can indeed create many miraculous mystical techniques, and the use of medical ninjutsu is also related to Yang attribute chakra. For example, the Akimichi clan within Konoha village. Senju Tobirama knew that the Akimichi clan excelled in the mystical technique of multiplying the body and strength using Yang attribute chakra, which could rapidly increase the body's size and strength to extraordinary proportions. That's right, the power of Yang is the ultimate Yang attribute chakra. Emiya Shihara had to explain the concept of the power of Yang, trying to tempt Senju Tobirama as much as possible. The power of Yang can create life out of thin air, regenerate the patient's severed limbs, and quickly restore the patient's damaged organs. When Emiya Shihara said this, he looked at Senju Hashirama on the hospital bed with regret. Naturally, it can also give new life to patients whose vitality is exhausted. so that they can continue to live. Then, Senju Tobirama was a little curious and asked this key question. How should a ninja reach the extreme of Yang attribute chakra and possess Yang power? This is not easy. Emiya Shiyuan's eyes flashed, and he sighed lightly. The simplest way is for people with Yang power in their bodies to share their Yang power with another person. Your brother, he's the most suitable person for me to share Yang power. A shimmer of emerald green chakra appeared on Emiya's palm, then slowly dissipated. He said with some regret, "It's a shame the Yang energy within me vanished without a trace during this resurrection. I don't know what happened." Senju Tobirama took a deep breath. "I'm sorry, it was my mistake," he apologized, explaining in a deep voice, "There was a problem with my Impure World Reincarnation technique, as this was my first time using it." "No problem." Emiya didn't blame Tobirama, but instead offered a soothing reassurance. "Perhaps this body isn't mine from my lifetime, or perhaps it disappeared in the underworld." Tobirama frowned and nodded. A question mark crossed his mind. "No, you really think it's my fault? If it's not you, could it be me, your predecessor from the ancient times?" To ensure the Impure World Reincarnation technique succeeded, his soul had deliberately remained in the underworld, even appearing when the technique summoned the soul. Without his active cooperation, it would be a miracle if this crude technique hadn't succeeded. It was truly a headache. With things now at hand, Emiya Shiyuan could only make do. At least he could find an excuse to remain in the living world. Even if he could remain active in the ninja world as an Impure World Reincarnation, there would still be other opportunities in the future. After all, he hadn't left any plans in the past. "Forget it." Emiya looked at Hashirama Senju lying on the hospital bed, sighed and said, "Now I will try some other medical means. First, limit the chakra in his body to prevent his self-healing and regeneration ability from dividing the cells in his body too quickly." "That's not easy." Tobirama Senju agreed with Emiya's method, but he didn't quite believe in Emiya's method. "Brother's chakra is very strong, and it's difficult to limit his chakra." "It's really strong." Emiya raised his fingers, and a hint of black appeared on his fingertips. He praised, "It's not much inferior to your clan's ancestor Shihara." "This is..." Tobirama Senju's eyes were a little solemn. "Cursed seal." Emiya Shiyuan looked at the energy of the cursed seal on his fingertips and explained, "This is a seal condensed from natural energy. It can prevent a person from using their chakra. Any rash use of chakra will restrict their movements. I'm not sure if it will work on him either." Emiya Shiyuan's expression was cautious, as if he wasn't sure if his method would be successful. Because the patient has traces of sage mode training, his body may be very receptive to the energy of the cursed seal, and it may not be able to block his power. "Can I feel the natural energy?" Senju Tobirama looked at Emiya Shiyuan and offered, "I have some knowledge of some techniques. Perhaps I can try to improve them and help." It couldn't be better. This ancient medical ninja was perfectly conflicted. Senju Tobirama was also conflicted. He trusted Emiya Shiyuan enough to feel a little embarrassed to doubt the energy of the cursed seal on his finger. Even though Senju Tobirama knew that the other party had no ill intentions, he was reluctant to trust others when it came to his elder brother's affairs. He could only feel at ease when he personally handled the matter. "I'm just a little worried." A hint of uneasiness appeared on Emiya Shiyuan's face. "Is there a problem?" Senju Tobirama raised his eyebrows. "This is not a commonly used medical procedure." Emiya was indeed a little dissatisfied, and expressed his concerns sincerely. "Although the cursed seal will temporarily block a person's chakra, once the person who is cursed has completely mastered the seal, it will also allow people to gain more powerful chakra after integrating the seal. I'm a little worried spreading the power of the cursed seal to the world. It will also be used in fighting by future generations like chakra." Emiya sighed faintly about his past. When the six-path sage and the ninja sect spread chakra, many people worried that chakra would be used by the world to fight. And I thought that the world would use chakra to save the world suffering like us. Now it seems our thoughts were wrong. Chakra is eventually used by ninjas to fight each other. Sorry Emiya, this is not your fault." Senju Tobirama understood Emiya's concerns and comforted him. "What is wrong in this world is never power, but the greedy hearts of some people who refuse to stop. Don't worry, I won't leak the cursed seal." Senju Tobirama raised his palm, looked at Emiya Shiyuan coldly and swore, "Moreover, if I use the power of the seal in a fight, my soul will not rest in peace in the underworld after I die." "That's not necessary." Emiya Shiyuan couldn't help but twitch his eyes. "No, Senju Tobirama, you really don't have any idea in your mind?" A person who has developed the technique of Impure World Reincarnation has disturbed the peace of other people's souls, and you still think that your soul can rest in peace? How can you be so extravagant? However, since Senju Tobirama has made a poisonous oath, I have no choice but to push the situation and impose the seal on Senju Tobirama. If Senju Tobirama finds any problems in the future and wants to cancel his Impure World Reincarnation, the seal can also be a means for me to counter the other party's actions. I will continue to read the new book. Chapter 6, Spots, just like that. Feel it, Emiya Shiyuan easily inscribed the dark curse seal on Senju Tobirama's arm, even creating this whirl mark of Konoha's ninja chakra. I can't activate it, as expected. Senju Tobirama raised his fingers, attempting to mobilize his chakra, but the seal on his arm slowly flowed through his body like a stream of warm water, confining his chakra and even causing his body to go into a state of paralysis. However, Senju Tobirama was undoubtedly a genius in the study of ninjutsu. The Konoha village Hokage's assistant immediately realized he couldn't resist the seal's energy and actively channeled its power to fuse with his own chakra. This power, a flicker of surprise crossed Senju Tobirama's face. This fusion of the seal, imbued with the natural energy and chakra, truly enhanced a ninja's strength. Senju Tobirama had to admit that Emiya Shiyuan's concern about the spread of the seal leading to new conflicts in the ninja world was well-founded. If an ordinary ninja were to possess the power of the cursed seal, perhaps even gaining chakra comparable to a Jonin through its amplification, and if they could train their opponent, they could become a formidable force on the battlefield. The only problem is that the seal's power is not so easy to control. Senju Tobirama, fully aware of his understanding of the principles of ninjutsu, was able to master the seal so quickly, but even then, he couldn't achieve perfect control. Unfortunately, he had promised Lord Emiya not to use the seal in combat. Senju Tobirama could only hope that peace would remain in Konoha, and that he wouldn't need to use this power in desperate situations in the future. "Let me help you release the seal," Emiya Shiyuan said, seemingly wanting to help Tobirama release the seal simply to experience its power, without any intention of restricting his movements. Emiya Shiyuan slowly formed hand seals as he explained, "This crude manipulation of natural energy is far too easy to master. I only hope this power won't bring new war to this world, Your Excellency Emiya." Senju Tobirama reached out and grasped Emiya Shiyuan's wrist, saying gravely, "There's no need to rush to release the seal. I need to determine how long the energy in the seal you've placed on me will hold my brother's chakra in check based on the fluctuations in energy." This ancient medical ninja was a bit too naive. Perhaps, born in an ancient era when powerful figures abounded, he assumed the ninja world of this era was filled with geniuses as well? How could natural energy be so easily mastered? Senju Tobirama had experienced natural energy before. He had a close relationship with his brother, Hashirama Senju. He had witnessed Hashirama mastering natural energy to achieve the powerful sage mode. He had been curious about natural energy, but he couldn't accurately sense it. Senju Tobirama was well aware of the value of this cursed seal, imbued with natural energy, and a fleeting feeling of shame washed over him. A cursed seal is a form of power. For a ninja like Senju Tobirama, a ninja from the Warring States period, power meant a longer life. Power meant greater control over the situation. Whether it was the turbulent public opinion within Konoha following his elder brother's injury, or the hostile ninja villages outside Konoha, which watched them like wolves, Senju Tobirama was unwilling to relinquish this power that could make him stronger. He could only silently promise Emiya Shiyuan, whom he had deceived, that he would only use this power in the most critical moments of his life. Of course, he couldn't tell the other party this. Senju Tobirama was speaking the truth. He did need to determine how long the seal would hold his elder brother's chakra based on the energy within his own body. "You and your brother have a truly wonderful relationship," Emiya Shiyuan shook his head. Perhaps having witnessed the sibling rivalries of ancient times, he still seemed a little confused by Senju Tobirama's actions. He could only helplessly warn him, "If you don't remove the seal, your movements during this period might be." "Don't worry." Senju Tobirama raised his arm. The energy from the seal flowed through it slowly, like a stream, yet it didn't hinder his movements. If nothing unexpected happened, he would fully master the seal by today. "I already understand how it works." Senju Tobirama glanced at his brother in the hospital bed, quickly attempting to bypass the topic. "Let's seal the eldest brother first. He's mastered Sage Mode, which allows him to utilize the seal even more effectively. He might soon absorb it for his own benefit. I'm worried about that, too." Emiya Shiyuan shook his head and sighed. He extended his finger and placed it on Senju Hashirama's arm, leaving a dark seal. As expected, the seal quickly vanished. The natural energy within was instantly absorbed by the body. Senju Hashirama's body is very sensitive to natural energy. When encountering natural energy, it will quickly transform into ninjutsu chakra, allowing him to quickly enter the state of sage mode. On the hospital bed, a hint of light appeared on Senju Hashirama's face. The first-generation Hokage lying on the bed seemed to feel the changes in his body. A trace of pain appeared on his face, and he murmured his first words in a coma. Madara. Senju Tobirama's face darkened. What time is it now? Why is Big Brother still talking about Uchiha Madara? Even when he was in a coma, he was still talking about Uchiha Madara. That bastard controlled the Nine Tails and wanted to destroy Konoha. He even injured you and shortened your life? Why are you still talking about that bastard? If nothing unexpected happens, the patient will be awake soon. Emiya Shiyuan breathed a sigh of relief and explained, although my curse seal didn't work as expected, his body automatically absorbed natural energy and entered sage mode. His sage chakra recovery ability is also amazing, which may further damage his lifespan, but it doesn't matter, as long as the patient doesn't use his chakra for a period after waking up and controls his self-healing ability, we can avoid further damage. After saying this, Emiya Shiyuan said, intentionally or unintentionally, as for the damage to his lifespan earlier, I have to think of a way to try to make up for it. Because I obtained the power of Yang during that era, I'm used to using it to treat patients, and my research in medicine has lagged behind. Thank you. The worry in Senju Tobirama's eyes gradually faded. It really worked. Emiya Shiyuan had saved his eldest brother. Senju Tobirama remembered that when he led the Anbu to the battlefield, he brought back Uchiha Madara's body and his seriously injured eldest brother. His eldest brother fell into coma upon returning to the village. The village's best medical nin was helpless against Big Brother's injuries, unable even to accurately predict when he would awaken. Regardless, this favor was worth remembering. Senju Tobirama was truly grateful. Furthermore, Emiya Shiyuan didn't mind disturbing his soul's peace, even offering to help find a way to repair Big Brother's lost lifespan. I'm deeply grateful. Senju Tobirama earnestly thanked Shihara once again, praising his contributions. Emiya-sama, you shouldn't be so self-deprecating. Without Emiya-sama, there wouldn't be any medical nin willing to heal and save lives. Without waiting for Shihara to humbly admit his mistake, Senju Tobirama revealed his true motives. Big Brother's life is linked to the peace of Konoha and the hopes of everyone in Konoha for the future. The future depends on you, Emiya-sama. This was a selfish motive. In reality, Senju Tobirama wasn't willing to unleash the Impure World Reincarnation. After all, having resurrected Emiya Shiyuan, he had uncovered numerous ancient secrets and even obtained a seal that could harness natural energy. Emiya Shiyuan was truly a treasure. If Emiya Shiyuan had no way to address his elder brother's declining lifespan, Senju Tobirama could only stall for a while, hoping to elicit more information before unlocking the Impure World Reincarnation and returning Emiya Shiyuan's soul to the underworld. But this ancient medical ninja truly lived up to the legends passed down for millennia, selflessly seeking to resolve his elder brother's problems. This struck Senju Tobirama as a perfect match. Senju Tobirama pondered how to treat Emiya Shiyuan in a way that wouldn't make him seem disrespectful to this venerable elder, while also keeping his identity a secret within the village and preventing speculation. Emiya Shiyuan, too, felt a sense of camaraderie. However, Emiya Shiyuan still had to maintain his demeanor as a medical ninja. He glanced at the first Hokage lying on the hospital bed with concern and gently reminded Senju Tobirama. The patient is about to wake up. Everything happened just as Emiya Shiyuan had said. Hashirama Senju, who had been lying on the bed, frowned, and the radiance of his sage eyes quickly faded. The first Hokage suddenly sat up, as if having had a terrible nightmare, and screamed his best friend's name in fear. Madara, 5,000 words today. Please read, collect, and vote. Thank you all for your rewards and your monthly votes. Chapter 7 My allies' pawns are my pawns. Madara, Madara. What good is that evil Uchiha Madara? Big brother, why are you still thinking about Uchiha Madara at this moment? Senju Tobirama silently berated his brother, only trying to save face in front of an outsider like Emiya Shiyuan. Big brother, Senju Tobirama pressed his brother's shoulder, trying to calm him down from the lingering panic of the nightmare. Calm down a bit, who? Senju Hashirama instinctively looked up. It's Tobirama, The panic on Senju Hashirama's face gradually calmed when he saw his brother, and he recalled the nightmare he had just experienced with some fear. Tobirama, Senju Hashirama looked at his hands, as if he couldn't believe that they were stained with his old friend's blood in his dream. I dreamed that I killed Madara, big brother. Senju Tobirama's face changed. No, that wasn't a dream. Hashirama Senju's body suddenly seemed to collapse, his hands drooping limply, his expression evident in unspeakable pain and distress. Tobirama, I seem to. Hashirama spoke slowly, his hands slowly and with effort rising. He cupped his forehead with his palms, tears streaming from his eyes. He really killed Madara. Tobirama Senju was silent for a moment. Although Tobirama Senju was deeply satisfied with his elder brother's decision to kill Uchiha Madara, he also knew that his elder brother would surely be saddened by his death. Tobirama Senju witnessed firsthand the friendship forged between his elder brother and that evil creature amidst the long-standing feud between their clans, a bond his elder brother had fought to preserve at the cost of his life. Alas, their bond was ultimately severed. It was Hashirama Senju who, by killing Uchiha Madara himself, severing this bond that had stretched back to the Warring States period. Brother, Senju Tobirama patted his elder brother's shoulder and said solemnly, don't forget, Madara wants to use the Nine Tails to destroy Konoha. You chose to kill him to protect the village we all built together, to protect the village. Senju Hashirama's eyes glazed over. It was this thought, this desire to protect the village, that had driven him to the point of killing his best friend in battle. Konoha was a village he had founded in partnership with Uchiha Madara. It was even the name he had chosen himself. Furthermore, during this battle, Madara hadn't harbored any desire to kill him. Uchiha Madara remained as carefree as ever, believing that a single battle would sway him into submission, forcing him to obey his will and destroy the Konoha they had built. But Senju Hashirama knew full well. His regard for Konoha had surpassed his friendship with Madara. Deep within him, he had borne the resolve to kill anyone to protect Konoha. This determination ultimately led him to kill Madara. However, this was precisely what made Hashirama Senju feel even more heartbroken. To protect Konoha, he had killed his own friend with his own hands, abandoning the friendship he had painstakingly built over the years. It was truly painful, a pain that was unbearable in life. Hashirama Senju clutched the quilt with his hands weakly, sitting blankly on the bed with tears streaming down his face, his mind reminiscing about his past with Uchiha Madara. Let the patient rest for a while. Emiya Shiyuan stood up and took the initiative to speak. The patient is restless right now, so it would be best if he stayed here alone for a while. Also, don't let him use his chakra to heal his injuries for the time being, to prevent his cells from dividing too quickly, as this would be detrimental to his health. Okay. Tobirama Senju helped his eldest brother lie down again. Hashirama Senju lay back down on the bed blankly, not even noticing Emiya Shiyuan beside him. Tears were still slowly streaming from his eyes. Brother, rest a little longer. Senju Tobirama reached out to cover him with a blanket and continued, don't use chakra for this time. Control your body's healing ability. Wait, Senju Hashirama suddenly grabbed his brother and asked, Tobirama, has Madara's body been brought back to the village? The body has been processed and buried. Senju Tobirama's eyes flickered slightly. This was a lie Senju Tobirama had told his elder brother. Senju Tobirama had hidden Uchiha Madara's body in the mountains. After all, Uchiha Madara was the strongest of the Uchiha clan, possessing the highest level of the Uchiha clan's Kekkei Genkai Sharingan, the main Gekkai Sharingan. In every way, Uchiha Madara's body held immense research value. Senju Tobirama wanted to dissect Uchiha Madara's body to discover how to solve the Uchiha clan's Sharingan problem, and he naturally didn't want to waste this opportunity. Moreover, Senju Tobirama had always hated Uchiha Madara, so naturally, he didn't care if this research might desecrate his body. However, this matter must be kept secret from his eldest brother. However, this matter didn't escape Emiya Shiyuan. Emiya Shiyuan had been observing the Senju brothers' conversation and noticed something strange in Senju Tobirama's eyes. He remembered something very interesting. As a time traveler, Emiya Shiyuan had witnessed this period of Konoha's history in his past life and knew the outcome of Senju Tobirama's hiding of Uchiha Madara's body. Emiya Shiyuan's lips curled up. If nothing unexpected happened, perhaps he knew the whereabouts of his ally from 1,000 years ago. My pawn, no. My ally, the pawn in my ally's hand is also my pawn. I hope my ally, Black Zetsu, can forgive my betrayal back then. In this era, I will repent. Deep in the mountains of Konoha, in a hidden cave chamber, a pitch-black creature quietly emerged from the ground. This strange, pitch-black creature was none other than Black Zetsu, the ally Emiya Shiyuan had mentioned. Its life force was so unique that it had managed to survive for millennia. Black Zetsu stood in the secret chamber, staring blankly at the coffin before him, seemingly unable to believe what he was witnessing. How did Uchiha Madara die? What the hell? How could this guy, Uchiha Madara, be killed? This was the most suitable chess piece he had found in millennia. The previous most suitable chess piece was Emiya Shiyuan, 1,000 years ago. His genius and lofty dreams even made him more suitable than Indra. However, that chess piece was too naive, ultimately believing Ashura's lies, believing that the ninja world would eventually become a paradise of happiness for all under the principles of the ninja clan and medical ninjas. How naive? To believe that chakra could bring happiness. Humanity is so short-sighted, unaware of its inherent nature to fight for resources. Any powerful force will inevitably become an increasingly effective weapon of destruction. What a shame. Emiya Shiyuan was so bright, yet he was such a kind-hearted man, convinced by Ashura's description of a rosy future. Heiju couldn't help but yearn for his once-favored chess piece. In those crude, ancient times, Emiya Shiyuan had used his summoning beast, the slug, to conduct human experiments on his body in the wet-bone forest, thereby gaining a portion of the power of the divine tree and the Six Paths Sage. They had almost succeeded. They could have even crushed the Six Paths Sage. What a shame. Emiya Shiyuan was too obsessed with his naive dream. Of course, if Emiya Shiyuan hadn't been so obsessed with that self-proclaimed grandeur, he wouldn't have been manipulated by the mastermind behind it. But it was ultimately because of that self-proclaimed grandeur that he was persuaded and betrayed by that idiot Ashura. Emiya Shiyuan even entrusted his dream to Ashura. Humph, if he were still alive, he would surely regret trusting that idiot Ashura. It's such a shame. That Emiya Shiyuan, with his astonishing wisdom and human medical technology, that innocent and kind-hearted, almost foolish, Emiya Shiyuan, he was my favorite chess piece for millennia. In comparison, Uchiha Madara was a bit too arrogant. Before I even saw the slightest hope of success, I realized it seemed to be doomed with Uchiha Madara's death. Madara is dead. Should I wait any longer? No. Should I remove Madara's eyes first? At least I'll have a pair of eternal Mangekyou Sharingan. Just as Black Zetsu was lamenting the bleak future, he suddenly sensed movement within the sealed coffin, startling him so much that he quickly submerged himself underground. Black Zetsu's ability is truly remarkable. Entering the ground is like entering water. However, he didn't leave immediately, instead retreating to a hidden corner of the secret chamber, carefully observing the movements within the tightly sealed coffin. I'm still begging for favorites and monthly votes. To explain, in the first chapter, the 5 commissions that Wei Yuan had to complete included Naruto and Sasuke, so he could only bet on the world 1,000 years later. He could not live forever because his lifespan was limited. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Black Zetsu, it's like seeing a friend who has been dead for 1,000 years. With a click, the coffin in the secret chamber slowly opened from the inside. A sturdy man climbed out. His long, tangled hair clung to his face. He opened his mouth and spat out a piece of flesh from his right palm, finally feeling the taste of life again. It was Uchiha Madara. No one would have thought he was still alive. The entire ninja world probably knew that Uchiha Madara had been killed by Hashirama Senju himself, but they would never have imagined this man could be resurrected. Perfect timing. It seems my suspicions were correct. Uchiha Madara looked up at the secret chamber deep in the mountains, scornfully mocking the man he hated most. Even if I had died fighting Hashirama, that sinister and despicable Senju Tobirama wouldn't have immediately disposed of my body. Uchiha Madara reached out his left hand and subconsciously touched his eye. One eye was the pale gray of blindness. Clearly, this blind eye was the price of his return from the dead. I set up the eye's energy technique and activation time ahead of time, and used the transcription seal within the Sharingan to delay its effect. It worked. This is the Uchiha clan's secret technique. Eye's energy is the clan's ultimate secret technique, capable of transforming all adverse effects suffered within a short period of time into dreams, even including death. Transcription seal is the Uchiha clan's Sharingan secret technique. It allows one to prepare a specific technique and seal it within the Sharingan, Then set the activation time or special conditions for the technique, so that it will activate at that specific time or under those circumstances. It even remains effective after the death of the practitioner. Uchiha Madara, even before his battle with Hashirama Senju, had prepared for his own defeat, using Izanagi and the transcription seal to escape death. Uchiha Madara lamented his lost eye, stroking his eye socket. "It's a shame Izuna left me this eye." This was the eye his younger brother, Uchiha Izuna, had left him. However, Uchiha Madara thought of his own motive for provoking a fight with Hashirama Senju, and his spirits quickly perked up again. Hashirama's flesh and blood. Uchiha Madara's eyes burned as he gazed at the flesh in his hands. It was the flesh he had bitten off from Hashirama Senju during the battle, and it was his trophy from this battle. This was the most important thing. Even more important than winning or losing this battle. This was the result Uchiha Madara had hoped to achieve by provoking the fight, a result that could only be achieved through a desperate battle. "Hashirama, my plan succeeded this time. As long as I transplant this flesh and blood onto my wound, I can obtain Hashirama's cells, and should also be able to obtain his chakra." Uchiha Madara grasped Hashirama Senju's flesh and blood tightly. He could feel the vitality of this flesh and blood, and he imagined the result of his own transplantation. The interplay of positive and negative forces creates a myriad of phenomena. The implication is that by merging the chakra of the Warren Senju and Uchiha clans, we can gain the power to save the world. "Hope, you won't let me down." Before leaving the secret room, Uchiha Madara seemed to have a thought and suddenly raised his finger. "Ninjutsu, shadow clone technique." Bang! A shadow clone appeared beside him. Uchiha Madara watched his shadow clone lie in the coffin, pretending to be a corpse. And a grim smile appeared on his face. "HMPH, let's leave behind a shadow clone for now. If anything happens to my shadow clone here, it can report back to me all the information it encounters before disappearing. That way, I'll know that the insidious and despicable Senju Tobirama discovered I'm still alive when his attempts to study my body failed. Then I can prepare early." As a ninja who had experienced the brutal battles and bloody conspiracies of the Warring States period, Uchiha Madara didn't believe he could completely escape by faking his own death. He simply wanted to delay for as long as possible, allowing himself to gain the so-called power of the universe. The shadow clone technique was extremely useful for powerful individuals like them. This remaining shadow clone served as a safety valve to prevent the clone from being discovered, as the technique's characteristic was that it would transmit information back to the original body before dying. Believing he had prepared everything in advance, Uchiha Madara quietly left the secret room. He needed a quiet place to transplant Hashirama's flesh and blood. But before doing so, Uchiha Madara wanted to take one last look at Hashirama. This battle was the most intense they had ever faced. Although Uchiha Madara knew he had lost to Hashirama Senju in this battle, he also knew he had undoubtedly inflicted the greatest injury ever on his former friend. Perhaps Hashirama was critically injured and near death? While that idiot had remarkable healing abilities, the damage he had inflicted was too severe for him to recover in such a short time. This final visit was a farewell to his past self. Uchiha Madara had already made up his mind. In the future, when he gained the power of the All-Seeing and faced Hashirama Senju again, he would be determined to kill him. "Hashirama, I learned that from you, too." Uchiha Madara recalled their last exchange, the agony of being pierced from behind by Hashirama's ninja sword. "Hashirama," Uchiha Madara clenched his fists, gritting his teeth to prove his resolve. "I will become like you, whether it's my brother, my friend, my child. To fulfill my beliefs, I can kill anyone. Hashirama, that's what you taught me. This dark will, I accept it." Uchiha Madara slowly relaxed. Because when a choice is made, everything seems easier. His expression gradually returned to normal, and he slowly walked into the darkness of Konoha village. Although Konoha village was heavily guarded, it was of no use to Madara. To him, these guards were like children playing house. In all of Konoha, only Hashirama Senju could cause him any trouble. However, Uchiha Madara never expected that. Just as he was leaving, Black Zetsu, who had been observing from the secret room, had been following him, observing his every move. This, too, did not alarm him at all. "Ha ha 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 ha, this Madara guy is really smart." Black Zetsu was somewhat surprised by Uchiha Madara's secret plan, which almost fooled him. Finally, a sinister and smug smile appeared on his face. "I didn't expect to see hope for the success of my plan in Madara. What a sudden turn of events." Black Zetsu couldn't be happier. Black Zetsu noticed Uchiha Madara's shadow clones in the secret room, And he knew very well that Uchiha Madara must be trying to conceal his fake death. "Let me help you." Black Zetsu hid underground and followed Uchiha Madara's footsteps, secretly thinking about how to help Uchiha Madara conceal his fake death. That Senju Tobirama has Madara's body, surely hoping to learn his secrets. So, let me find a way to trouble him so he doesn't have time to focus on Madara's body. As long as no one notices Madara's fake death, Black Zetsu believed his plan was going smoothly, his smile barely undone. This way, once Madara has transplanted Hashirama Senju's flesh and blood, he can rest assured and wait for the Rinnegan, the all-powerful power of the universe, to awaken. Black Zetsu's smile grew even more sinister as he contemplated the promising future of his plan. When Madara awakens the power of the Six-Path Sage, it will be my turn to truly make an appearance. Just as Black Zetsu happily continued to stalk Uchiha Madara, pondering how to create a safe environment for him to awaken his Rinnegan, he noticed that Uchiha had suddenly stopped, and for some unknown reason, he had quietly hidden himself. Black Zetsu, somewhat unsure of the reason, began to question his reasoning. Have I been exposed? Black Zetsu doubted his ability to hide had been exposed, even finding evidence to support it. I was observing Indra the entire time. This ability to hide comes from my mother, but even that Six-Path Sage couldn't detect it. Soon, Black Zetsu realized why Uchiha Madara had stopped. He had also spotted two people walking the streets of Konoha, discussing Hashirama Senju's condition. One of them happened to be Tobirama Senju, the one Black Zetsu intended to secretly help and cause trouble for. As for the other, Black Zetsu had initially assumed he was just an ordinary Konoha ninja. To Black Zetsu, aside from Hashirama Senju, everyone else was just an ordinary ninja. Then, Black Zetsu casually glanced at the other person. That glance caused his mind to blank for a moment, and he began to wonder if something was wrong with his life. Is this 1,000 years from now? Why do I seem to see Emiya Shiyuan? Another 5,000 words today. Please keep reading. Please bookmark. Chapter 9 Emiya Shiyuan? Uchiha Madara? Where is this? Black Zetsu was confused about the location. When is this? Black Zetsu was a bit lost in time. Am I in the ninja world 1,000 years from now? Black Zetsu began to suspect that something was wrong with his life. Meeting an old friend in a foreign land, it should be a joyous experience. However, meeting someone at the wrong time, someone who absolutely could not possibly be there, often leads to doubts about one's life instead of joy. Take Black Zetsu for example. Black Zetsu was pondering the life that had gone wrong. What was going on? He had truly lived through thousands of years, diligently provoking wars and diligently spreading the ideals of mythical ninja. Time was definitely not a problem. So, was he just living a confused life? Why did he see Emiya Shiyuan here? Wasn't Emiya Shiyuan from over 1,000 years ago? How could he appear in this ninja world 1,000 years from now? Could it be that he had lived too long and had become a bit schizophrenic? Confused, Black Zetsu watched Emiya Shiyuan from the shadows, suspecting something was wrong with his mind. No matter how you slice it, Emiya Shiyuan should never appear before it. Yet, he suddenly appeared. He even seemed to be living a very happy life in this era. Let's distract the patient for a while. Emiya Shiyuan seemed unaware of Uchiha Madara lurking in the darkness, nor did he seem to guess that Black Zetsu must be lurking near him. As a medical ninja, Emiya Shiyuan remained extremely dedicated in this era, deeply concerned about his patient's psychological well-being. It's very painful for him to kill his own friend. As a family member, it's best for the patient to find new support as soon as possible. As Emiya Shiyuan spoke, he observed Senju Tobirama, trying to see if he could sense Uchiha Madara and Black Zetsu lurking nearby. However, Senju Tobirama showed no signs of abnormality. Although Senju Tobirama's perception was extremely advanced, in the heavily guarded Konoha, he didn't need to use any powerful perception techniques. Furthermore, Senju Tobirama had not yet fully mastered the curse seal given to him by Emiya Shiyuan, so he could not freely use his chakra during this period. Let me think about it. Unable to detect anyone lurking nearby, Tobirama Senju simply lowered his head, pondering how to distract his older brother. Compared to that evil guy, Madara, Big Brother definitely cares more about the people in the village. Knowing his older brother well, Tobirama Senju quickly came up with a suitable solution. Let Big Brother spend some time with the children in the village. Those are the children he truly wants to protect for the future. That's fine. Emiya Shiyuan strongly agreed with Tobirama Senju's idea and offered his own. I'll do my best to find a way to prolong his life during this time. Thank you, Tobirama Senju breathed a sigh of relief. Although Tobirama Senju couldn't come up with Emiya Shiyuan's solution, he still hoped that he could find a possible solution to his older brother's illness. However, always prepare for the worst. I was at the hospital just now, so it wasn't convenient for me to ask. Senju Tobirama's expression grew cautious, as he pressed the question that most concerned him. Sir Emiya, I want to know the answer to a question. What if, sir, you haven't found a solution? Senju Tobirama crossed his arms over his chest, and asked the question slowly but firmly. How much time do you have left, brother? The night breeze was still. The air on the street seemed to quiet. Whether it was Senju Tobirama standing before Emiya Shiyuan or Uchiha Madara hiding in the shadows, they all seemed to hold their breath at this moment. For Uchiha Madara, his friend, Hashirama, deserved to live. After obtaining the power of the All-Seeing, he still wanted to prove to his former friend, Hashirama, that he was right. He wanted Hashirama to see the path he had found. For Tobirama Senju, his eldest brother, Hashirama Senju, must survive. Konoha in the Land of Fire had established a system of ninja villages and nations. It was thanks to Hashirama Senju's military might that they had conquered so much fertile land and united Konoha's many ninja clans. If Hashirama Senju died, the entire ninja world would undoubtedly be in turmoil. Tobirama Senju was accustomed to keeping future changes within a manageable range. Emotionally, he couldn't accept his eldest brother's death, but intellectually, he had to prepare in advance to maintain Konoha's stability after Hashirama Senju's death. 10 years, Emiya Shiyuan stated with a precise number. If I don't find a solution, even if he doesn't resort to violence for years, it's unlikely he'll live longer than 10 years. 10 years, Tobirama Senju's heart grew heavy. 10 years. It seemed like a long time. However, for someone still in his prime, it was too cruel, and for a young and fledgling ninja village like Konoha, it seemed too short. Tobirama Senju always prepared for the worst. As the true ruler of Konoha, Senju Tobirama had no desire to see the Konoha they had built together crumble after his elder brother's death. He had to find a path for Konoha's survival before his elder brother's death. Even though many of Konoha's clans obeyed the Senju name, most did so solely because of his elder brother's prestige and military prowess. Once his elder brother passed away, there was no guarantee these clans would not break away from Konoha. These clans still maintained their independence within Konoha, and many ninja still took pride in their surnames, not yet truly accepting themselves as Konoha's own. It seemed he had to find a viable plan quickly. A flicker of determination flashed in Senju Tobirama's eyes. He rarely revealed his inner thoughts to anyone other than his elder brother. He simply nodded to Emiya Shiyuan, seemingly unconcerned that his elder brother only had 10 years left to live. I understand. As his pace quickened, he spoke of his plans for Emiya Shiyuan's relocation, heading towards the Hokage building. Your Excellency, Emiya's stay in Konoha as a guest may be inconvenient. Tomorrow I will arrange for Sasuke and the village's Anbu ninja to accompany you. Feel free to ask them for anything you need. That's alright, Emiya Shiyuan said with a friendly attitude, casually expressing his thoughts. If it's convenient, I'd like to see more of this era, I hope. Emiya Shiyuan's face showed a reverent and sacred expression. I hope to meet someone in this era who can entrust the future of medical ninja to me. I will definitely. Senju Tobirama nodded secretly. Was this ancient medical ninja seeking a disciple? This was excellent news for Konoha. Even if the medical ninjas in Konoha village were not bad, they were far inferior to Emiya Shiyuan. Based on Senju Tobirama's recent interactions with Emiya Shiyuan, he undoubtedly possessed numerous medical secrets, which must have been generously passed down by this great medical ninja. Unfortunately, they were completely lost during the Warring States period. The footsteps of Senju Tobirama and Emiya Shiyuan gradually faded away. When the two men walked away, Uchiha Madara quietly walked out from the dark corner, looking at the backs of the two men from a distance. 10 years, Uchiha Madara narrowed his eyes, and his figure walked into the darkness again, secretly heading towards the direction of Konoha Hospital. However, Black Zetsu did not follow Uchiha Madara. The pitch-black creature came out, glanced at the distant Uchiha Madara, and then turned back to look in the direction where Senju Tobirama and Emiya Shiyuan left. Let me talk about the timeline. It is basically the same Naruto timeline that I used before. It is basically based on the anime setting, supplemented by the comics setting. At present, no matter whether it is the mastermind or the worker, there seems to be no problem with the timeline. According to the plot, Tsunade won the bet with the first generation, and the first generation died. He must have lived for a long time after the war. For example, after catching the nine-tailed fox and bringing it back, he caught other tailed beasts and distributed them to others. Chapter 10. Black Zetsu met an amazing chess piece when he was young and lonely. It's really him. Black Zetsu is a bit torn. He felt a mixture of amusement and unease. Although Emiya Shiyuan's appearance in this era was unexpected, and even though he had ultimately betrayed Black Zetsu in ancient times, Black Zetsu still missed the time when he and Emiya Shiyuan worked together. It was a strange feeling, like not being able to meet someone truly amazing during one's lowest moments. Whenever Black Zetsu thought of Emiya Shiyuan, he would recall his first encounter with him. At that time, Emiya Shiyuan was assassinating Indra. At that time, Indra still had the 3 Magatama Sharingan. Back then, Black Zetsu thought some small-time character was courting death. However, this battle nearly frightened Black Zetsu to death. Black Zetsu hadn't anticipated that this small-time character had acquired the remains of the sacred tree, mastered the power of wood release and natural energy, possessed formidable taijutsu and swordsmanship, and even had a small slug at his side, beating Indra, even with a 3 Magatama Sharingan, so hard that he couldn't even lift his head. Because he had been secretly stalking Indra and attempting to help him, he caught the attention of Shihara Emiya, who abandoned his assassination attempt. Later, he was unable to escape. This was how he met Shihara Emiya. He also learned of Shihara Emiya's ambitions, to destroy the shinobi clan founded by the Six Paths Sage. As the Six Paths Sage grew old and frail, the shinobi clan's principles spread, and some disciples left the clan and returned to their homelands. Some disciples used chakra for the benefit of their communities, while others, driven by greed, began exploiting it for personal gain. Shihara Emiya was one of these victims. To steal a few bottles of fine wine, a shinobi disciple used chakra to slaughter an entire village. Shihara Emiya escaped the attack because he had left the village early. Seeking revenge against his shinobi disciple, Shihara Emiya prayed to the remains of the sacred tree, ultimately granting him the power of wood release. Wood release is indeed powerful, but attempting to challenge the Six Paths Sage with it is simply wishful thinking. Black Zetsu didn't believe Emiya Shihara's plan would be of much use. He paid little attention to him, knowing only that he roamed the ninja world rescuing people and spreading the message of the medical ninja. At that time, Black Zetsu was at the height of his power. His first plan had succeeded, provoking Indra to challenge Ashura, hoping that Indra would steal Ashura's power and awaken his samsara eye. However, Indra was utterly defeated by Ashura. His first attempt quickly failed. Black Zetsu, once triumphant, retreated into despair. Even during his downfall, Emiya Shihara continued to rescue people, proclaiming that chakra was a power to relieve suffering, not a weapon used by ninja disciples to inflict suffering. At that time, Emiya Shihara truly possessed a prestige surpassing that of the Six Paths Sage. The people of that era had always believed in the sacred tree, but the Six Paths Sage had shattered that faith. In comparison, Emiya Shihara, who constantly saves lives, is truly worthy of respect, especially since he shares everyone's faith in the sacred tree. He always carries a small, slug-like slug on his shoulder, curing the ills of the world as he travels. Even the Six Paths Sage and Ashura admire his conviction. Emiya Shihara embodies the very ideals of the medical ninja. Enduring unbearable pain, he strives to save those unable to escape suffering. This kind of compassion naturally evokes the admiration of the Six Paths Sage, a hypocritical figure. Even Black Zetsu recognizes Emiya Shihara's genuine kindness. Of course, adhering to the principle that even bad people like good people, Black Zetsu greatly enjoys good people like Emiya Shihara, who can be exploited. During the gloomy days of his failed plan, Black Zetsu, as if he had found a kindred spirit, tirelessly slandered the Six Paths Sage in Emiya Shihara's ear. Together, they criticized the ninja disciples who abused chakra and wreaked havoc. Naturally, they revealed many secrets, such as the Six Paths Sage's claim to be the source of chakra. This fact was no secret in that era. It could be easily uncovered by capturing a ninja disciple. However, it piqued Emiya Shihara's curiosity about the Six Paths Sage. After the sage's death, Emiya Shihara sought to dissect his remains. He sought to understand the source of chakra and find a way to recover the chakra from the ninja disciples that brought suffering to the world. Black Zetsu knew he wasn't seeking power. As a medical ninja, he needed to study human organs. Emiya Shihara was the first to dissect a corpse, a process that refined his medical skills. Emiya had mentioned to Black Zetsu more than once that he wanted to dispel the world's prejudice against surgery. He planned to have his body prepared as a specimen after his death, allowing future generations to learn medical techniques from it. He even went so far as to do so in the future. Black Zetsu shared information about the six-path sage's corpse. Due to the sage's immense power, Black Zetsu dared not approach it, fearing that even after death, the sage's power would still linger and could be sensed. Emiya had no qualms. He skillfully stole the sage's corpse. To study it, Emiya took it to a place rich in natural energy, where he began a long retreat. That place was called the Wet Bone Forest, and it was filled with deadly acid. Although Emiya invited Black Zetsu to join him, he dared not approach the deadly Wet Bone Forest. When Shihara reappeared in this world, accompanied by a massive slug, he possessed some of the six-path sage's power, having successfully transplanted his Rinnegan. Black Zetsu had never imagined that humans could achieve such remarkable results through human research. That time, before Black Zetsu could instruct Emiya Shihara on how to gather chakra, Emiya Shihara had already taken action. He utterly annihilated the entire ninja clan. He slaughtered countless disciples and reduced the village to ruins. He was only one step away from destroying the ninja clan founded by the six-path sage. That was the closest Black Zetsu's plan ever came to success. It was also the most satisfying revenge Black Zetsu ever exacted on the six-path sage. Not only did he physically destroy the six-path sage's ninja clan, he also struck a blow against their very souls. In the end, Emiya Shihara was defeated by Ashura, because Emiya Shihara had previously encountered Ashura. While secretly collecting and processing the remains of the sacred tree, Emiya encountered Ashura, who had been helping villagers dig a well in a village plagued by the tree's destruction. He also considered Ashura a kind man. Ultimately, after Ashura's persuasion, Emiya chose to trust Ashura's promise, believing that Ashura would lead them to greater power to save the suffering of the world. This man resolved to entrust his dreams to Ashura. To atone for his sins, Emiya even used the samsara creation technique, embedded in his Rinnegan, to bridge the yin and yang and resurrect those who died in battle. Due to the immense power of the six paths, Emiya survived the samsara creation technique and returned to the Wet Bone Forest to prepare for his own death. When Emiya reappeared, only a half-dead crystal coffin remained. The slug entrusted the coffin to Ashura. What a naive man. He actually believed Ashura's promise. However, Emiya's success also led Black Zetsu to discover another possibility. During this millennium, the long years Black Zetsu lived, he diligently provoked a conflict between the descendants of Indra and Ashura, while at the same time spreading the message of the greatness of medical ninjas, hoping that others would master human experimentation like Emiya Shihara. This, in fact, was a frequent source of Black Zetsu's confusion. He was a murderer who provoked war, yet he also worked as a holy messenger, spreading the ideals of healing and saving lives. The fact that Emiya Shihara's story lived on in this era, and that the tale of the six-path sage became a legend, was undoubtedly due to Black Zetsu's contribution. Sadly, whether through his own methods or those of Emiya Shihara, Black Zetsu never once saw a chance of success. This is precisely why Black Zetsu missed Emiya Shihara so much. Emiya Shihara was the one plan he had executed countless times that came ever closer to success. It was truly a pity. If only Emiya Shihara hadn't trusted Ashura back then. A mocking smile crossed Black Zetsu's face. It imagines how much regret and shame for past betrayal would appear on Emiya Shihara's face if it meets him. After seeing the endless fighting ninjas, will you regret believing Ashura's stupid words? This is the memory of Black Zetsu, not a memory of Emiya Shihara. Mr. Black Zetsu's White Moonlight. Actually, this chapter is not profound enough. This book has a timeline that begins in the era of the ninja clan. I will revise it when I have time and publish it when the Naruto arc is finished. I hope that past memories will not hinder reading. Please read, collect and vote for me. I can try it next week. Chapter 11. It seems there is only one way left. Emiya Shihara, do you regret your own naivete and foolishness? In this world, Black Zetsu rarely interacted with others, and the person he spoke with most was Emiya Shihara. The thought of mocking Emiya Shihara persisted in Black Zetsu's mind. Black Zetsu had always considered Emiya Shihara his pawn, but on the eve of his plan's significant progress, he was betrayed and abandoned by Emiya Shihara. This feeling was rather unpleasant. Black Zetsu had seen the crystal coffin collected by the Senju clan more than once. The last time, 2 years ago, Black Zetsu had sneaked into the Senju Tobirama's secret chamber and, standing before the crystal coffin, arrogantly mocked Emiya Shiyuan's naivete and foolishness. Now, Emiya Shiyuan had truly been resurrected. He truly had the opportunity to mock him. Even the chance to reactivate this chess piece, the only one who could bring his plan to success. However, Black Zetsu didn't dare to rush into the moment. He needed to carefully consider his choices. Because he had a new chess piece. Uchiha Madara. A brand new chess piece. This chess piece followed his plan step by step. Although Uchiha Madara had only taken his first steps, and the future was still uncertain, he already had a mature plan for how to utilize him. As for Emiya Shiyuan, he was a model of maturity. Back then, he didn't need to do anything, not even provide adequate guidance. Emiya Shiyuan handled everything on his own to destroy the shinobi clan. Of course, exceptions could be made in this era. He didn't know what state the resurrected Emiya Shiyuan would be in. In this era, the remains of the six-path sage were no longer available for him to study, only the reincarnations of Ashura's chakra and Indra's chakra. It seemed that this wasn't a big deal. Emiya Shiyuan's true strength wasn't his physical strength. It was his genius mind, and the human experimentation techniques he developed to advance human medicine. Having witnessed the miracles Shihara Emiya had created using the corpse of the six-path sage, Black Zetsu couldn't imagine. A genius like Shihara Emiya, with his own theories, couldn't possibly solve the experimental problems surrounding the birth of the Rinnegan? The only problem was, having lived for over 1,000 years, would Shihara Emiya still believe him? A monster that had lived for over 1,000 years couldn't be ordinary. Oh, probably. He could just make up a good excuse. For example, claiming he was the will of the sacred tree, a claim that didn't seem too far removed from Kaguya's. Honestly, it didn't matter, though. Shihara Emiya knew of Kaguya's existence. Everyone in that era knew of Kaguya, revered as the goddess of the Ono, who served the sacred tree. When he lied to Shihara Emiya, he was actually deceiving him. Chakra wasn't a power that could be wielded by ordinary people. It had to fall into the right hands to prevent it from bringing disaster to the world. Who was that right person? Of course, it was Kaguya Otsutsuki, the goddess of the Ono, revered by humanity. Only the goddess of the Ono could determine the fate of chakra. Didn't I tell you everything? Black Zetsu pondered every detail of his conversation with Emiya Shiyuan. It seemed he had indeed mentioned the idea of resurrecting Kaguya, the goddess of the rabbit. Emiya Shiyuan had gained power from the remains of the sacred tree and believed in it, and Kaguya, the goddess of the rabbit, who served it. It seemed he had said too much back then. Black Zetsu could only anxiously recall the secrets he hadn't shared with Emiya Shiyuan. It seemed the only ones left were his true identity and the method for resurrecting Kaguya. Because a true resurrection of Kaguya would require a sacrifice, this secret couldn't be revealed at all. Fortunately, he had kept it a secret. However, it was precisely because of this, even keeping every step secret from Emiya Shiyuan, that the nearly successful plan went astray and failed. But he had already revealed his desire to resurrect Kaguya. Black Zetsu felt like sweating. This wasn't a reaction typical of a creature like him. 1,000 years ago, he was too young and naive, revealing so many thoughts to Emiya Shiyuan. Fortunately, Emiya Shiyuan also believed in the sacred tree and simply trusted him. How could he have been so naive back then? He actually revealed so much to his own chess piece. After so many years, Black Zetsu felt a sense of the awkwardness of adulthood, feeling embarrassed and regretful about his youthful actions. At this point, did he have any choice? No matter what Emiya Shiyuan thought, no matter how confused he felt about his identity, it seemed he had to choose him. Black Zetsu suddenly realized the dilemma he faced. Since Emiya Shiyuan knew so many secrets, he had no choice but to choose him as his chess piece. If the resurrected Emiya Shiyuan revealed the secrets of the ancient times, or even revealed his own existence, Uchiha Madara would be useless as a chess piece unless he hid himself forever. However, Emiya Shiyuan would undoubtedly reveal the secrets of the ancient times to this era, and he didn't know when he would stop hiding. Actually, Emiya Shiyuan might be a good option. After all, he's a formidable chess piece. Just when he was despairing, believing his plan to resurrect his mother would never see the light of day, Emiya Shiyuan suddenly appeared, illuminating Black Zetsu's life, which he had assumed would remain forever dark. Wait, Maybe it was just my imagination. Let's go check out Emiya Shiyuan's crystal coffin first. Black Zetsu quietly slipped underground, silently making his way to the secret chamber of Senju Tobirama's collection, a location he happened to know. Soon, Black Zetsu arrived. Seeing the shattered crystals strewn across the floor, even though they'd been broken only recently and untouched, the gaps were pristine, untouched by dust. The half-dead body in the crystal coffin had naturally vanished without a trace. Black Zetsu immediately concluded that the Emiya Shiyuan he had seen was truly resurrected, and even knew his resurrection was definitely connected to Senju Tobirama. That Senju Tobirama guy had truly used half of his body to resurrect Emiya Shiyuan. He intended to use him to heal the severely injured Senju Hashirama. Black Zetsu recalled the battle between Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, and the time when Hashirama was seriously injured and unconscious. He had already guessed Senju Tobirama's motive. He had truly found the right person. Hashirama had been so severely injured in that battle. Throughout a millennia of ninja history, only one person, besides the Six-Path Sage, could have saved him. That's not right. Something seems off. Is Emiya Shiyuan helping to save Hashirama after his resurrection? Black Zetsu subconsciously focused on Emiya Shiyuan's situation, remembering the conversation he had overheard between Emiya Shiyuan and Senju Tobirama. A sudden, terrifying thought struck Black Zetsu, and it continued to unfold in his mind. Hashirama Senju is the reincarnation of Ashura's chakra. Hashirama Senju quelled the war, bringing an end to the millennia-long warring states period, and at least recreated a seemingly peaceful ninja world. That guy Emiya Shiyuan, he can definitely sense that Hashirama Senju is the reincarnation of Ashura's chakra. He's willing to help heal Hashirama Senju. No, that idiot Emiya Shiyuan. He wouldn't still believe Ashura's nonsense at this point, would he? This terrifying thought occurred to Black Zetsu, and he couldn't stand still any longer, stalking swiftly beneath the ground. At that moment, Black Zetsu was filled with anxiety. If Emiya Shiyuan still believed that idiot Ashura, how many secrets would he reveal to the ninja of this era? He had to find him quickly. He had to know his intentions as soon as possible. If Emiya Shiyuan hadn't revealed the secrets yet, he had to find a way to convince him to return to their original plan. As for killing Emiya Shiyuan and keeping the secret, the thought of killing him and keeping it secret flashed through Black Zetsu's mind. Black Zetsu doubted that even if he had the opportunity to secretly frame Emiya Shiyuan, provoking a conflict between him and the ninja of this era, how much power would the resurrected Emiya Shiyuan still possess? Although Emiya Shiyuan's state appeared to be without the Rinnegan, his own power was considerable. What if he, unaware of it, recklessly revealed his secrets while he was plotting? Black Zetsu simply didn't want to. Compared to the troublesome new pawn Uchiha Madara, Emiya Shiyuan, who had once nearly succeeded, was far more useful. This was the easiest path. After witnessing Emiya Shiyuan's resurrection, no matter how many ideas Black Zetsu entertained, they would ultimately be reduced to a single one: convince Emiya Shiyuan to his side. Emiya, a nearly maxed-out main character, knew numerous dungeon strategies and could ruin the game at any moment. Uchiha Madara, a newly created newbie sub-character, had barely even prepared his equipment. This was Black Zetsu's option. Chapter 12. Please, Emiya Shiyuan, don't be fooled again. It was a quiet night. A cool breeze blew in from the window. Emiya Shiyuan didn't feel a bit of cold, because his Impure World Reincarnation body made his perception no different from that of a dead person, although he still closed the window like a living person. Perhaps this is the only way to feel alive? This house was arranged with the help of Senju Tobirama. Although Emiya Shiyuan didn't need a room to rest, he needed a quiet environment. Tobirama Senju explained that he needed to watch the medical ninjutsu of this era. As it should be. There was an Anbu around this house. This Anbu ninja was not here to monitor Emiya Shiyuan, but to protect him and wait for Emiya Shiyuan's request to Konoha. In fact, Senju Tobirama believed that he could control Emiya Shiyuan's body with just a thought, but he needed to maintain his respect for Emiya Shiyuan, hoping that Emiya Shiyuan would not think that the Impure World Reincarnation technique was a manipulation of him. Don't stay up late tonight. Go to bed early. As Emiya Shiyuan closed the window, he addressed the Anbu ninja hiding beneath it. Just bring me a map of the ninja world tomorrow morning. The Anbu ninja hesitated for a moment. However, remembering the order given to him by Senju Tobirama, he instantly withdrew. He was going to the Hokage's building to report Emiya Shiyuan's request. Emiya Shiyuan's mood calmed down. I clearly only left it one way out. Emiya Shiyuan idly picked up the wick of the lamp, muttering to himself absent-mindedly about Black Zetsu. Why hasn't my ally come to see me yet? Black Zetsu, why hasn't he come to see me? If Black Zetsu's mind had been tempered for millennia, he would surely have figured out that this former ally was his only option. Could it be that Black Zetsu is still as naive and gullible as he was over 1,000 years ago? The candlelight shone. A dark shadow appeared on the wall. A dark creature quietly emerged from the ground. Just as Emiya Shiyuan was growing concerned about Black Zetsu's lack of mental progress over the years, Black Zetsu's figure silently appeared behind him. Long time no see, Emiya-sama. Black Zetsu's eerie voice reached Emiya Shiyuan's ears. Emiya-sama. It was a particularly endearing and respectful term of endearment. Normally, it was reserved for the slugs that Emiya Shiyuan had raised, but Black Zetsu, believing they were very close, occasionally used it. Although Black Zetsu always considered Emiya Shiyuan a pawn, he kept this in mind and dared not expose it to his face. After all, the disparity in their power was immense. Black Zetsu could only deceive and exploit Emiya Shiyuan. They had once been partners, not superiors or subordinates, and addressing Emiya-sama was merely a term of endearment. That voice, Emiya Shiyuan froze in disbelief, as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing, so much so that his fingers, fiddling with a wick, suddenly stopped. It's me. Black Zetsu's voice was a little erratic, and he sank back into the earth. If you still remember me, someone who shared our dreams, yet was ultimately betrayed by Lord Emiya, I'm sorry. A trace of guilt crossed Emiya Shiyuan's face. Just as he couldn't help but bow his head to express his apology, he saw Black Zetsu emerge from the ground in front of him and stand before him. You didn't expect that, did you? Lord Emiya Shiyuan. Black Zetsu looked at the slightly ashamed and shocked Emiya Shiyuan, and his nervousness gradually subsided, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. I didn't expect that after living so lonely for so long, I would have the opportunity to meet Lord Emiya from over 1,000 years ago. Indeed, Emiya Shiyuan gazed at Black Zetsu standing before him. Black Zetsu now looked different than he did 1,000 years ago. He was taller than he was then, and looked more like an adult. You've grown taller too, Black Zetsu. A gentle smile suddenly appeared on Emiya Shiyuan's face, just like the countless times he had praised Black Zetsu in the slug many years ago. The smile on Black Zetsu's face froze. Hearing Emiya Shiyuan's praise, Black Zetsu, who was about to question Emiya Shiyuan, froze in his attitude, and for a moment he didn't know what to say. How could this guy still be like this? Black Zetsu had been prepared to turn his most vicious words into the hardest fist and hit Emiya Shiyuan hard to wake him up. But his fist hit cotton before it even came out. However, before Black Zetsu could poke Emiya Shiyuan's kind heart, Emiya Shiyuan seemed to have been hurt on his own initiative, and a trace of sadness appeared on the face of the filthy body. His hand began to fiddle with the wick on the table again, extending his fingers and ignoring the flame to stir the flickering candlelight. It's great, it's been over 1,000 years, I actually have the chance to meet my old companions, the ninja clan of this era. No, now they call themselves ninjas. Emiya Shiyuan seemed to be happy in his words, but his face was indescribably sad, so that Black Zetsu could feel that he was suppressing his sadness and pain. Black Zetsu, the ninjas of this era are truly geniuses. They were able to use the corpse specimens I left for future generations to resurrect me, a deceased person from over 1,000 years ago. Is Lord Marihara angry? Black Zetsu sneered and followed Emiya Shiyuan in mocking the ninja world of over 1,000 years later. Is this the worst era? Really? Emiya Shiyuan raised his head and said with some self-mockery, the ninjas of this era told me that this is the best era for them in 1,000 years. That's right, for the descendants of despicable people, this is the best era in 1,000 years. Black Zetsu's face became gloomy, mocking the ancestors of the ninjas of this era. Those despicable people who obtained chakra, they used the power of chakra to start war after war in order to fight for benefits, creating the warring states period that lasted for 1,000 years. Even though I have been spreading the story of Lord Marihara for 1,000 years, letting the ninjas know that there was a great ideal in ancient times, that the power of chakra is used to save the suffering people, but the ninjas still use the power of chakra to fight endlessly, as it should be. Black Zetsu concealed the fact that he had provoked the war. Lord Shihara, a strange smile appeared on the corner of Black Zetsu's mouth. He felt that the atmosphere had arrived, and at this moment he decided to ask the question he had wanted to ask for more than 1,000 years. I saw the endless fighting among the ninjas, I heard about the Warring States period when the ninjas were in chaos for 1,000 years. Black Zetsu saw that Shihara's face was getting uglier and uglier, which made him feel a little relieved. He decided to deliver his fatal blow. Now, Lord Shihara, do you regret believing Ashura's stupid words? Emiya Shiyuan fell silent under Black Zetsu's questioning. This silence was speechless in the eyes of Black Zetsu. The smile on his lips became happier, and he even wanted to say a few more words to make further efforts. Maybe Emiya Shiyuan suddenly spoke. Everything is still unknown. Emiya Shiyuan's voice was a little vague and empty, as if he couldn't find his target, and he talked about the past. I remember Ashura promised me that he would quell the fights caused by chakra, he would protect the weak from being bullied by the strong, and he would make chakra a force to save the world from suffering. Even if his life dies, it will not stop. Originally, I thought this world was absurd and incurable, but today I met the carrier of Ashura's chakra in this generation. The reincarnation of Ashura's chakra in this generation is called Senju Hashirama, who happens to be a descendant of Ashura. I vaguely remember the surname Senju. It was the name I gave to Ashura when I first met him. It was one of the surnames I helped him choose for his descendants. Senju means that people unite and gather together and extend their hands. The power of Senju can quell all disasters that will bring pain to the world in the future. Emiya Shiyuan mentioned the story of Senju Hashirama that he had heard, and seemed to admire Senju Hashirama very much. I heard about Senju Hashirama. He united many people around him, calmed a war that lasted for 1,000 years, and ended the chaotic Warring States period. The sinister smile on Black Zetsu's face froze on his face. No, you still believe in Ashura? How can you still be so naive and stupid? No, you have been fooled once. How can you still believe in Ashura and his descendants? No, don't be fooled by them. They are all deceiving you. Can you just be honest and be fooled by me? Is there a problem with the name of the protagonist? Generally, it is Emiya or Shihara. There are only two ways to address the protagonist. If you think it's a bit confusing, I will change it to one name later. No, why do I still see people calling him a country dog? Chapter 13 Sorry, Black Zetsu, for disappointing your expectations. This is truly depressing. Black Zetsu couldn't help but feel melancholy. It's one thing for Emiya Shiyuan to have believed in Ashura in ancient times, but why would he now accept Hashirama Senju? Yes, Hashirama Senju did pacify the Warring States period. But after Hashirama's death, new wars would surely break out. Lord Marihara, you are the smartest man in the history of the ninja world. Even if I have been tracing the footsteps you left behind for thousands of years, I cannot see an outline that resembles you. Black Zetsu's voice was hoarse and gloomy, and he sighed faintly. You should obviously understand that the peace that Hashirama Senju brought to this era is only temporary. As long as there are ninjas in this world, as long as there is greed in the hearts of ninjas, as long as there is no power above the heads of ninjas that can suppress their greed, a power that can suppress every ninja from restraining greed, the fight between ninjas will never end, no matter how many times Ashura's chakra is reincarnated. It will be useless. When Hashirama Senju dies, the ninjas of this world will start a new war for their own interests, repeating the cycle again and again, and beginning to endure a painful and tragic fate from the day they were born. Lord Marihara, have you forgotten your beliefs? Enduring pain that the world cannot endure, working hard to save the world that cannot escape pain. Do you want to watch the world continue to cycle in painful lives? Black Zetsu thought about the painstaking efforts he'd endured spreading Emiya Shiyuan's story throughout the ninja world. Like a devoted believer, he questioned him. Emiya-sama, you once envisioned for future generations of medical ninja to uphold. Have you forgotten? But, Emiya Shiyuan's brow furrowed as he pondered his own defense, instinctively searching for someone to blame. Ashura once told me, Ashura is an arrogant fool. Black Zetsu quickly stopped Emiya Shiyuan from recalling Ashura's words and continued, if Emiya-sama hadn't believed him, and had chosen to kill Ashura and completely destroy the shinobi clan, withdrawing all the chakra released by the six-path sage, this world wouldn't have been plagued by the millennial-long war. Those who brought this war to this world, they are all descendants of the six-path sage and those despicable people of the shinobi clan. Emiya Shiyuan paused. Black Zetsu had grown considerably in his 1,000-year life. Just watching Black Zetsu's righteous demeanor made Emiya Shiyuan feel a little dazed. It seemed as if Black Zetsu was the one on the side of justice. It was ridiculous. How had the situation turned out like this? Hey, why don't you answer me? Seeing Emiya Shiyuan's silence, Black Zetsu once again wore a sinister smile, as if hoping this would spur him to reawaken. Because Emiya-sama realizes you've been on the wrong path, Emiya Shiyuan remained silent. Black Zetsu suddenly felt uneasy. Was he being too harsh? Was his words pushing Emiya Shiyuan too far? Black Zetsu, Emiya Shiyuan slowly lowered his head, as if he had completely lost faith in life, his voice filled with infinite loss and regret. It's impossible to succeed. Black Zetsu immediately opened his mouth to retort. Hear me out, Emiya Shiyuan interrupted Black Zetsu's attempt to speak and calmly and earnestly recounted his past. When I first gained the power of the Six Paths Sage, I immediately wanted to reclaim the chakra he had emitted, but I studied the Six Paths Sage's corpse, but I haven't figured out a way to completely reclaim the chakra. Emiya Shiyuan's voice remained calm, though with a hint of disheartening calmness. Neither the wood-release technique bestowed upon me by the remains of the sacred tree nor the power of the Six Paths Sage's Rinnegan could completely reclaim the chakra from those ninja sect disciples. So I had no choice but to kill them without distinguishing between good and evil. When destroying the ninja sect, Black Zetsu's expression grew a little strange. This was all his fault. It was all his fault for not teaching him the correct method ahead of time. After all, reclaiming the Six Paths Sage's chakra was part of resurrecting Kaguya Otsutsuki, and he didn't believe Emiya Shiyuan could go that far. Black Zetsu immediately began to explain. Just listen to me quietly, Emiya Shiyuan interrupted Black Zetsu again, his voice still filled with a dead calmness. Do you remember our beloved goddess of the rabbit, Kaguya Otsutsuki? Black Zetsu nodded quickly. After all, Kaguya Otsutsuki was his mother, and he was born to revive his mother, who had been sealed away by the Six Paths Sage's rebellious son. I believe the goddess of the moon should be able to reclaim chakra. Emiya Shiyuan's voice remained calm as he continued to fabricate his thoughts from back then. I heard a taboo piece of information from a shinobi disciple, whose truth is unknown. The goddess of the moon is the mother of the Six Paths Sage, and the grandmother of Hashirama and Indra. Honestly, I'm a little worried, but I can only place my hope in the goddess of the moon. I can only hope that the goddess of the moon we believe in will uphold the principles of fairness in distributing and reclaiming chakra, allowing chakra to become a force to heal the suffering of the world, rather than a force used by shinobi disciples to wantonly bully the weak. So when I gained the power of the Six Paths Sage and headed for the shinobi sect, I actually had another important goal, to get information from Hashirama about resurrecting the goddess of the moon. But during our battle, Hashirama persuaded me to give up asking about the resurrection of the goddess of the moon. What happened next? You should know everything. Black Zetsu was a little overwhelmed. He hadn't expected Emiya Shiyuan to do so much. To be honest, Emiya Shiyuan is already good enough. Black Zetsu was even slightly touched in his heart. Black Zetsu never thought that Emiya Shiyuan would make so much effort to resurrect Kaguya, and even really wanted Kaguya to rule the world. He also wanted to find out the news of resurrecting Kaguya from Hashirama. Emiya Shiyuan, this guy is really too strong. If Emiya Shiyuan knew the correct steps to resurrect Kaguya, maybe they could have resurrected Kaguya in ancient times. Actually, Black Zetsu felt a little excited. Black Zetsu, listen to me. Emiya Shiyuan interrupted Black Zetsu for the third time and continued to make up his idea of being resurrected in this era. Now, I have been resurrected in this era. I also know that this world has experienced a painful 1,000-year war. I understand that I was impulsive at the time and believe Ashura's promise to me, let those people from the ninja clan go, and gave up the most likely hope of changing the world. But what's the use of me thinking about this? Emiya Shiyuan's voice became completely depressed, as if he no longer had any expectations for the future. The Sage of Six Paths has been dead for a long time, and Hashirama and Indra have been dead for thousands of years. They are the only family in this world who knows how to resurrect the goddess of the rabbit. There are not even any historical records of this era. The ninjas of this era regard the Sage of Six Paths, who gave them chakra, as the god of creation, and regard the stories of ancient times as legends. Black Zetsu, our way is cut off. We have no way to take back the chakra from these ninjas of this era, and it is impossible to find any news of resurrecting the goddess of the rabbit. I can't kill all the ninjas of this era, except to continue to believe in Ashura's promise. I don't know what else I can do. After saying this, Emiya smiled wryly, somewhat lost in thought. Black Zetsu, I'm just a lucky guy who was once blessed by the sacred tree, not someone who can do everything and change the world. Sorry, I let your expectations down. He used his ultimate move to cheat his life and fled. Please give me some monthly votes, and continue reading. A Big Man's new book Dreaming of 10,000 Years, also known as Infinite Dreaming, starts with a crescent moon scimitar. Chapter 14 Black Zetsu, I just lied to you, why did you reveal your past? In reality, Black Zetsu shouldn't have any emotions. Black Zetsu was born from Kaguya Otsutsuki's will to resurrect her, born solely to bring her back into this world. Yet, at this very moment, Black Zetsu felt a strangely complex mix of emotions. He felt both sad and happy. To describe his emotional shifts at this point would be an understatement. Although Black Zetsu knew he had been deceiving Emiya Shiyuan, he was still moved by him, even apologizing to him even after his failure. Perhaps this was the feeling of being considered a comrade? Although Black Zetsu had always treated Emiya Shiyuan as a pawn, constantly deceiving him, he knew that he truly considered him a comrade. The long and lonely road to resurrecting Kaguya Otsutsuki was so long and lonely that Black Zetsu couldn't find anyone to walk with him. His deception only earned him the sincerity of Emiya Shiyuan. Emiya Shiyuan, a man who once worshipped the sacred tree and the goddess Kaguya in ancient times, now seems so precious in an age that has forgotten them. As precious as a spark of fire. In this long, cold, dark night of 1,000 years, this is the only spark Black Zetsu has ever felt warmed, and even the flicker of the flame touches his heart. Emiya Shiyuan is such a great genius. Yet, now, having lost hope of reviving Kaguya, he has become so dejected. This kind of dejection should never have occurred to him. In ancient times, Emiya Shiyuan seemed omnipotent, a mere mortal capable of standing on equal footing with gods. This genius once nearly changed the world, single-handedly destroying everything left by the Six Paths sage. Yet, this genius, who should have been proud, now appears devastated. Even in the state of despair, he apologizes to his comrade, Black Zetsu. He believes he can't revive Kaguya, he can't change the world, he feels he has failed Black Zetsu. If his mother, Kaguya, knew of Emiya Shiyuan's past, even the sentimental mother might shed tears for this innocent and pure soul. Of course. Black Zetsu was also overjoyed. Because the very things that had caused Emiya Shiyuan the greatest despair were, for him, trivial matters. He could easily solve all the problems Emiya Shiyuan faced. Don't despair over these little problems, Black Zetsu couldn't help but smile eerily. In a raspy voice, he comforted Emiya Shiyuan, assuring him that he could solve them. The answers you're looking for, I've always been by your side. As he finished these words, Black Zetsu's heart skipped a beat. No, what nonsense am I talking about? What the hell am I doing here? I was supposed to be here to help the resurrected Emiya Shiyuan keep his secrets in this era, but why had I revealed even more secrets to him? While Emiya Shiyuan was indeed trustworthy, his identity should always be the most important secret. Why had he let it slip in his excitement? Emiya Shiyuan didn't even give Black Zetsu a chance to react. Upon hearing this, he suddenly looked up, his face filled with shock, staring at Black Zetsu in disbelief at his companion from over 1,000 years ago. Black Zetsu, could it be that you, Black Zetsu didn't have time to think too much? He couldn't even figure out who to impersonate. While mentally cursing himself for revealing the secret, he reassured himself that Emiya Shiyuan could be trusted. In this moment of turmoil, Black Zetsu revealed his true identity. Yes, I am the will of Kaguya, the goddess of the rabbit. After revealing his true identity, Black Zetsu's mood completely devastated, just like Emiya Shiyuan's earlier. He had no choice but to trust Emiya Shiyuan. Just as Emiya Shiyuan, in his despair, had no choice but to trust Shihara. Even if he regretted it, it was too late. Black Zetsu could only mentally console himself. He had already revealed too many secrets to Emiya Shiyuan, even revealing his desire to resurrect Kaguya. Maybe one day Emiya Shiyuan would be able to guess his true identity. Perhaps Emiya Shiyuan couldn't guess it due to the limitations of human thinking. However, the idea of wanting to revive Kaguya that he had revealed to Emiya Shiyuan was not much different from revealing his true identity. It didn't matter if he said it out loud. Emiya Shiyuan could be trusted. Emiya Shiyuan was definitely trustworthy. Black Zetsu regretted his impulsiveness while continuing to comfort himself. Emiya Shiyuan was too sincere, and there was really no need for him to hide his identity anymore. No, Emiya Shiyuan looked at Black Zetsu in disbelief after he had directly revealed his identity. The expression on his face was as if he had seen something that could never happen in this world. No, what are you doing? I just wanted to cheat on your trust. Why did you reveal all your secrets? Black Zetsu has lived in this world for over 1,000 years and has lived like a dog. Why does it seem like he hasn't made any progress since over 1,000 years ago? Isn't this too easy to deceive? Emiya Shiyuan recalled his own ancient past. His cries of wanting to destroy the shinobi clan were one thing, but Black Zetsu later followed suit, ultimately leading to their destruction. He'd simply exploited Black Zetsu's desire for revenge against the Six Path Sage, using his slogans to gain his trust. As a result, Black Zetsu had been misled into believing his lies about his faith in the sacred tree. He'd used the story of the goddess of the moon to lure him in, and Black Zetsu had revealed his desire to resurrect Kaguya, claiming her chakra was hers. Now, after a few fabricated words, Black Zetsu had revealed his true identity. Over 1,000 years had passed. How could Black Zetsu still be so gullible? Emiya Shiyuan internally resented Black Zetsu, wondering if he'd coaxed too many secrets out of him before, and now, having finally revealed his final secrets, he felt a bit embarrassed by his sincerity. Emiya Shiyuan couldn't even imagine what Black Zetsu would be like when he learned his true identity. He might even be upset. Right now, Black Zetsu was still apologizing. "I'm so sorry." Black Zetsu was completely oblivious to what was going on in Shihara's mind, even explaining his concealment of his identity. "I've been hiding my true identity all along." Indeed. Black Zetsu still needed to explain. He might even have to invent a story. After all, he couldn't directly reveal the full truth about the falling out between Kaguya Otsutsuki and the Sage of the Six Paths. He could only try to fabricate a story that favored Kaguya Otsutsuki, since Shihara was such a kind and good person. No, wait, Emiya Shiyuan felt a little overwhelmed by Black Zetsu's apology. He worried that accepting Black Zetsu's apology at this moment might seem a bit excessive, potentially leading to some strange changes in Black Zetsu's mindset. However, Emiya Shiyuan realized something ominous. Having always treated others with sincerity in ancient times, I certainly couldn't immediately forgive Black Zetsu for hiding his true identity from me, even though Black Zetsu's identity was the will of the goddess of the Yuna whom I believed in. Forgiving Black Zetsu, accepting his identity outright, would likely arouse his suspicion. I felt I should be confused and struggling for a while. At least pretend to be unable to bear the shock of Black Zetsu's true identity, waiting for Black Zetsu to earnestly plead for forgiveness. Only then would Black Zetsu trust me more. After all, people tend to trust what they earn through hard work, not what is simply given to them. Interpersonal communication is truly difficult. Sometimes managing relationships is not easy. Wait a minute, Emiya Shiyuan waved his hand feebly at Black Zetsu, as if he had been deeply shaken. Black Zetsu, Emiya Shiyuan's face etched with a wounded dejection, as if he couldn't accept that his former companion had deceived him and concealed such a shocking identity. "I'm a little surprised anyway. Let me think about it for a while." Act out a little bit. In ancient times, Black Zetsu was almost exposed in front of Wei Yuan. It revealed its idea of resurrecting Kaguya. Please vote for it. Please read it again. Please collect it. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15, Kaguya's Story. How could Emiya Shiyuan be allowed to think quietly at this moment? How could Black Zetsu, having lived for thousands of years, not know what to do? When someone is exposed to an overwhelming amount of information, it's very easy for them to become delusional, even conjuring up a conspiracy to destroy the world. At that point, no matter what corroborating information they receive in the future, this conspiracy to destroy the world will likely linger in their mind. Black Zetsu knew full well that he truly had a conspiracy to destroy the world. Especially since Emiya Shiyuan was born in ancient times and knew a lot. If you were allowed to let his imagination run wild, he might even guess the truth behind Kaguya Otsutsuki's disappearance. He had to take this opportunity to instill his thoughts into Emiya Shiyuan, to make him accept his identity, to completely accept the so-called truth he was telling him, to let Emiya Shiyuan be completely brainwashed by the truth he had instilled in him. Listen to me, Black Zetsu felt that what he said was a little familiar. It was indeed a little familiar. Because Emiya Shiyuan seemed to have just said this. Black Zetsu felt this was truly fate, and he felt compelled to imitate Emiya Shiyuan's story, telling it with a slightly fabricated twist. In our time, you've undoubtedly heard the story of the sacred tree. In ancient times, the sacred tree appeared in this world and became a symbol of humanity's faith. Kaguya, who descended with a sacred tree, also became the goddess of the moon. But, what you don't know is, humanity in that era was also at war. Black Zetsu strained his brain, striving to portray his mother in a more positive light. The suffering humans of that era prayed to Kaguya for an end to the war. Kaguya heard the prayers and harnessed the power of the sacred tree to quell the war of that era. However, this wasn't the end. Even though Kaguya possessed godlike power, even though Kaguya's power was as formidable as your knowledge of the human body, she ultimately encountered a predicament of powerlessness. Black Zetsu hadn't wasted his time, having learned some techniques for communicating with humans, such as incorporating subtle references to Emiya Shiyuan into his stories to help his words resonate with him. Could it be? Emiya Shiyuan frowned and thought about it. That's right, there are too many humans in the world. Black Zetsu didn't even wait for Emiya Shiyuan to answer, and hurriedly made up another story. Kaguya hopes to disperse her own power, that is, the chakra in her body, and find some people with noble character like you, so that they can help save the suffering people in the world. Me. Emiya Shiyuan shook his head, refusing to accept Black Zetsu's flattery. I don't have such noble character. I'm a lucky guy who got the power of the remains of the sacred tree by chance. I just don't want to live up to this power. So I want to save the suffering people in the world like the goddess of Mao. Don't be humble. Black Zetsu is determined not to let Emiya Shiyuan refuse, and continue to praise. I have walked through this world for thousands of years, and I have never seen a trace of you again. In this world, people like you are really too rare. Black Zetsu sighed, and continued the story along this topic. However, Kaguya knew that the influence of chakra was too strong. She believed that the power of chakra should not be given to the world casually, so as to avoid being used by the world for evil. Of course, humans of noble character are always rare. That's why Kaguya's plans haven't been going smoothly. However, this isn't a major obstacle for Kaguya, because Kaguya has a long lifespan. She can live endlessly in this world, giving her ample time to find someone to entrust her chakra to. Care should indeed be exercised. Emiya Shiyuan nodded, seemingly agreeing with Kaguya in Black Zetsu's story. If chakra were distributed freely, yes. Black Zetsu sighed softly, and continued his story seriously. But Kaguya's two sons don't think so. Two sons? Emiya Shiyuan seemed to hear a completely new version of the story. That's right. Black Zetsu's voice grew sinister. In addition to the six-path sage Otsutsuki Hashirama, Kaguya also has a son, Otsutsuki Hamura. Because Kaguya's two sons have had chakra in their bodies since birth, they don't view chakra as a precious power. They believe their mother should proactively share chakra with the world, guiding it to determine their own fate. Black Zetsu was very cryptic. Black Zetsu didn't say too many bad things about the six-path sage. He knew they lived in the same era. However, he knew his words were enough to spark Shihara's dissatisfaction with the six-path sage. Shihara frowned again, seeming somewhat dissatisfied with the approach proposed by Kaguya's two sons. Rashly distributing power that could harm the world is a bit naive. Yes, Black Zetsu nodded in agreement, speaking softly. Now we have seen the results of distributing chakra to the world. Such a naive idea. Naturally, Kaguya rejected it. Kaguya is more powerful than anyone else in the world, and has lived longer than anyone else. Her exceptional insight and broad vision allowed her to foresee the results we see today long before her two sons did. The goddess of the rabbit? Exceptional insight, broad vision? Could Black Zetsu be serious? Shihara suspected he was being too smug. However, Emiya Shiyuan certainly wouldn't disrupt things at this moment. He even pretended to admire Kaguya, the goddess of the rabbit. No wonder people of our time have never forgotten the sacred tree and the goddess of the rabbit who served it. Black Zetsu felt a little embarrassed to join in, so he just went along with the story. It's a shame that the naive sons couldn't understand their mother's greatness. Kaguya, always revered by the world, rarely communicated with others and didn't understand how to keep her two sons obedient. In particular, her excessive doting on her sons diminished her majesty as a mother. The naive sons believed they knew better than their mother how to save the suffering of the world. Using the power bestowed upon them by their mother, they launched a war against her, that catastrophe that nearly destroyed the world. Emiya Shiyuan's expression suddenly changed, as if a thought had occurred to him. In ancient times, people experienced a great disaster, and even when Emiya Shiyuan traveled to this world, he still heard of people's fear of that catastrophe. That's right, that was a war that nearly destroyed the world. Black Zetsu nodded, and in the meantime, put the blame on the Otsutsuki brothers, the two brothers, who had grown up, used the power in their bodies for the first time. They never realized how terrifying the power of chakra would be when it truly erupted. They could kill countless humans with a single blow. That was a real disaster. That's exactly why Kaguya didn't want the power of chakra to spread. Once humans obtained chakra, they would definitely use the power of chakra to fight for their own interests, which would only cause more suffering to the world. Kaguya didn't want to use her power to defeat her son, but she saw that the world was almost destroyed by the battle, and that those who believed in her died in the aftermath of the battle. This is a painful thing for Kaguya. Those people whose homes were destroyed, those innocent people who died in the aftermath of the battle, and those who opposed her were her two most beloved sons. The goddess of the rabbit finally softened her heart. As a mother, she finally chose to give in the war. Black Zetsu paused, looked at Emiya Shiyuan, who was immersed in the story, nodded contentedly, and then continued to talk about the ending of the story. Finally the war is over. Kaguya, who was originally more powerful, was sealed away by her own son. When Black Zetsu said this, he found an excuse for the two brothers of the Six-Path Sage, and took the opportunity to put another blame on them. Because their brothers have a limited lifespan, they are worried that their mother will take back the chakra that they have emitted after their death. From then on the goddess of the rabbit disappeared. Please vote for me on Monday. In the animated version, Black Zetsu often calls Kaguya by name. When Black Zetsu tells stories to Naruto and Sasuke, he often calls Kaguya by name directly. Basically, Black Zetsu calls Kaguya mother only when communicating with Kaguya. Chapter 16 You Dare to Call Wei Yuan. It must be said that Black Zetsu is quite the storyteller. In Black Zetsu's tale, Kaguya transforms into compassionate goddess of the Ono, a victim harmed by those close to her. Despite this tragic fate, the great Kaguya prioritizes the greater good for the sake of all. This story truly captures the image of the goddess of the Ono that humans crave, especially those like Emiya Shiyuan, who have always believed in the sacred tree and Kaguya. Emiya Shiyuan was a bit dazed. Is this the ninja world? Is this the proper ninja world? If the storyteller wasn't Black Zetsu, Emiya Shiyuan would have almost believed this tragic story, because the logic was flawed only by a single flaw. Because that flaw was Black Zetsu. In ancient times, Black Zetsu constantly sought revenge on the Six-Path Sage. Black Zetsu is Kaguya's legacy in this world. A mother so compassionate and devoted to her son, even stepping back in a world destroyed in conflict, yet this legacy constantly seeks revenge on her own son? Clearly, Black Zetsu doesn't understand human emotions very well. As a kind-hearted person, Emiya Shiyuan would undoubtedly take the initiative to help Black Zetsu fill this flaw, thereby alleviating his initial guilt towards him. Really, a revered deity, I can't even begin to imagine it. Emiya Shiyuan sighed, a hint of sympathy flickering between his lips. Such a great deity, clearly on the right path, was betrayed and sealed away by her beloved child. How much pain must she be suppressing within her heart? A pause crossed Black Zetsu's face. He hadn't expected his story to be so effective. Emiya Shiyuan's reverence for Kaguya had only grown. He even recalled Kaguya's own pain during her sealing. Though Kaguya's sealing by the Six-Path Sage brothers wasn't just pain, but also resentment and anger at her two sons' betrayal. However, Emiya Shiyuan's words immediately sparked a new idea within Black Zetsu, instantly identifying the source of his own appearance. Yes, this pain is unbearable. Even the goddess of the rabbit couldn't bear it. This pain is the reason I was born into this world. Black Zetsu's voice slowly darkened, and he took the blame. Even before being sealed, that great mother refused to hate her son. Kaguya ripped her pain from her body, and since then, I was born into this world, so, I've been hiding it. Black Zetsu, as if feeling somewhat inferior, fabricated his own story. Because I am the painful will-born of my mother, I dare not reveal my true identity. Emiya Shiyuan looked at Black Zetsu with a hint of realization. Black Zetsu, Emiya Shiyuan seemed to be moved by compassion. At this moment, the man seemed to have completely accepted Black Zetsu's identity, forgave Black Zetsu for his past deceptions, and even felt a little sympathy for Black Zetsu's life. You are the will of the goddess of the moon. That should be something to be proud of. Emiya Shiyuan comforted Black Zetsu, even with a touch of sentimentality. The gods always save those in pain. Someone must come to relieve the gods' suffering. Emiya Shiyuan gently soothed Black Zetsu's heart, as the tormented will left behind by the goddess of the moon. You also speak out for her suffering, don't you, Lord Emiya? Black Zetsu felt a touch of emotion. From today on, Emiya Shiyuan was a chess piece that he could truly control perfectly. No, He couldn't entertain such thoughts at this moment. Rather, Emiya Shiyuan was his true partner in resurrecting Kaguya. Although Black Zetsu suspected that if Emiya Shiyuan resurrected Kaguya one day and truly saw her true face, he would likely fly into a rage. However, to prevent Emiya Shiyuan from becoming too angry, Black Zetsu did not intend to let him witness Kaguya's resurrection. This was because Emiya Shiyuan was the vessel Black Zetsu intended to use as a sacrifice to revive Kaguya. After all, Emiya Shiyuan was the chess piece Black Zetsu trusted most. As for Uchiha Madara, Black Zetsu had completely forgotten about this useless chess piece. He imagined the future when his plan would succeed, when he would one day pierce Emiya Shiyuan's heart and resurrect Kaguya. Should he be smug? Or should he adopt a look of sorrow and helplessness? Perhaps a mixture of both. He could mournfully recount his own desperation while simultaneously boasting about the deception he had painstakingly planned all those years. This state of mind seemed a bit schizophrenic. Although Black Zetsu felt somewhat betrayed by Emiya Shiyuan's trust, he also believed that he was Kaguya's will, and that his only goal was to resurrect her. Well, at that point, he could just say a few more words. He could praise Emiya Shiyuan, express his love for him as a chess piece, and how happy he was to truly use him. Before his death, he would finally let Emiya Shiyuan know the truth. That would be a way to live up to their friendship. Black Zetsu secretly plotted his future plans, even feeling a tinge of guilt as he thought about them. His attitude towards Emiya Shiyuan subconsciously grew warmer and more friendly. Emiya Shiyuan, hearing Black Zetsu's address, Emiya Shiyuan felt a strange feeling. Did Black Zetsu think he was Kaguya's will, that his status had elevated, that he wouldn't even call him Emiya-sama? Emiya-sama is a name only a true friend can call a true friend. The kind of friend you can truly trust with your future. He'd asked Slug to call him Emiya-sama for ease of communication, but that little fool had insisted on adding the honorific sama after it. Black Zetsu, calling him Emiya-sama would have been fine, but now he wouldn't even add the honorific. Did he really think that just because it was Kaguya's will, he could look down on him with such arrogance? Although he was a broad-minded person and didn't intend to argue with Black Zetsu about such trivial matters, Black Zetsu's behavior was truly arrogance. He'd achieved power, even before he even had it. Black Zetsu was already acting like he was acting like a god. Although he was a generous person and didn't mind a small title, Black Zetsu's attitude was really a bit too much. Had this guy forgotten the real business? Now he needed help. Emiya Shiyuan, Black Zetsu really liked this intimate name. Black Zetsu actually thought that his relationship with Emiya Shiyuan had become closer. He believed that Emiya Shiyuan had completely accepted his identity and even forgiven him for concealing it. The time had come. It was time to get down to business. Resurrecting Kaguya won't be easy. When Mom was sealed away, thousands of years ago, it was relatively easy to revive her, but Mom's chakra has dissipated over the millennia. Black Zetsu paused, then fabricated another sentence. Now, Mom is left with only her mind, still protecting the world she once loved so deeply. How magnificent. Emiya Shiyuan couldn't help but admire him. Then, as if realizing something, he frowned, seeming a little uneasy. If only Kaguya-sama's mind remains, this is a divine realm I've never encountered before. I might need quite some time to figure it out, but I'm a little worried I might not be able to do it. Black Zetsu smiled. Black Zetsu didn't mind Emiya Shiyuan's inability. He was very pleased with his attitude, even a little overjoyed, because his words brought back that familiar feeling. As expected of Emiya Shiyuan. As expected of his favorite chess piece. When faced with a problem, Emiya Shiyuan would subconsciously seek a solution. However, this time, Emiya is definitely not going to make it. Because the way Kaguya was resurrected is definitely beyond Emiya's imagination. I think so. Emiya originally planned to continue chatting to see what tricks Black Zetsu could come up with to deceive him, but he sensed someone approaching him very quickly. Black Zetsu's perception ability is also very strong. He also sensed that someone was approaching very quickly. He was a little annoyed that he was interrupted when he was having a good chat with Emiya. Someone is coming. Wait, Black Zetsu sensed the person coming with some surprise, as if he couldn't believe the other person's identity. Why is he here? I'm here to beg everyone to continue reading and vote for me. I'm begging you to continue reading and vote for me on Monday to get on the new book list. I'll have to ask again tomorrow, Tuesday, because it's very important to test the reading data. I'll try my best to write something good. I'll leave the rest to you all. Chapter 17 Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara. This was someone Black Zetsu hadn't expected. Compared to Emiya Shiyuan, Uchiha Madara was the pawn Black Zetsu had considered giving up. He hadn't expected this pawn to find him at this very moment. It seemed a little strange, since Uchiha Madara couldn't possibly know either him or Emiya Shiyuan, so why would he come at this very moment? In theory, Uchiha Madara shouldn't have come. In reality, he had his own reasons for coming. While Uchiha Madara had secretly visited Hashirama Senju at the Konoha hospital, he had overheard a conversation. Hashirama Senju, who had been resting alone, sat in his hospital bed, his wife, Uzumaki Mito, sitting beside him. The couple had a harmonious relationship, a kind of mutual respect. After all, Hashirama Senju's awakening couldn't be hidden from his wife. Senju Tobirama also held his elder sister-in-law, Uzumaki Mito, in high esteem. As soon as Hashirama regained consciousness, he immediately notified Mito, who was guarding the Nine Tails in the mountains behind Konoha, that she was relieved of her brother's illness. Knowing her husband's condition, Mito suspected he would awaken later. Fearing something might happen to Hashirama, who had awakened prematurely, she rushed to the Konoha hospital to investigate her husband's condition before returning to guard the Nine Tails. This was no problem at this point. Mito had always respected and understood her husband, Hashirama. She knew of his brotherly friendship with Uchiha Madara. Upon arriving at the Konoha hospital, Mito sensed Hashirama's distress over his own murder and hoped to persuade him to let go of the lingering grief. In fact, before Madara's attempt to destroy Konoha, Mito had always had a favorable impression of Uchiha. As Hashirama Senju's wife, Uzumaki Mito had never disliked her husband's friend, Uchiha Madara. She always respected her husband's friends and was well aware of their deep friendship. Naturally, the couple discussed Uchiha Madara. Hashirama Senju was a straightforward man, unabashedly unconcealed. Facing his wife, he recounted the resolve forged during his life-or-death battle with Uchiha Madara, his determination to kill him to protect Konoha. At that moment, he recounted, "I knew I had to kill Madara, I had to sacrifice everything to protect Konoha, even if it meant sacrificing my friends, my brothers, even my own children. This was a resolve born from protecting the village. Compared to my resolve to protect Konoha, my friendship with Madara no longer mattered. He would never understand my resolve to protect the village." Uchiha Madara, eavesdropping from outside the room, wore a cold expression. Mito Uzumaki, listening from within, frowned. Mito Uzumaki, constantly guarding the Nine Tails, brought back by Hashirama Senju, had consumed a significant amount of her chakra, leaving her feeling faintly exhausted. Furthermore, her husband remained seriously injured and in a coma, all of which weighed heavily on her spirits. Yet, despite this, the usually resilient Mito forged a frazzled spirit, struggling to consider the validity of her husband's intentions. Sacrificing everything to protect the village, a hint of unease crossed Miro's face. She knew her husband had repeatedly lamented his friendship with Madara during his absence from Konoha. That was exactly what was happening. Mito Uzumaki was concerned about his condition. Would anything be sacrificed to protect the village? Whether it was Hashirama's friends, his brothers, or his children, these were the people Hashirama had desperately tried to protect. To protect Madara, Hashirama and his younger brother, Tobirama Senju, had argued countless times. Because of their childhood friendship, they had never dared to kill Madara during the Warring States period. To protect Tobirama Senju, Hashirama Senju had once nearly committed suicide in front of Uchiha Madara. Now, to protect Konoha, to protect this village, her husband had chosen to sacrifice the very people he once fought so hard to protect. But wasn't the original purpose of Konoha established to better protect these people from the pain of war? Hashirama Senju's thoughts struck Mito Uzumaki as unsettling. However, Mito had recently been depleted of chakra, and exhausted, she couldn't immediately discern the right and wrong in his words. Hashirama, Mito Uzumaki frowned, puzzled. A terrifying question struck her: if we protect the village at all costs, what will we do if that cost becomes too horrible for us to bear? Hashirama Senju hesitated for a moment. But then, remembering that he had personally killed his close friend, Uchiha Madara, to protect Konoha, a decision he found even more painful than sacrificing his own life. A terrible price. Senju Hashirama lowered his head, answering with a pained yet resolute voice, "If it's for the sake of protecting Konoha, then no price is unacceptable, right?" Uzumaki Mito suddenly realized the horror. This thought seemed too terrifying. If Hashirama's will were to be passed down one day, What would happen to Konoha in a future that Hashirama couldn't even foresee? The first price humans imagine is their own life. Someone sacrifices their life to so-called protect Konoha. Such a person will surely become a hero admired by everyone in Konoha. Then, the price will continue to rise, because there are truly more painful prices in this world than sacrificing one's own life. Companions who depend on each other for life and death. Someone kills their friend to so-called protect Konoha. Such a person may indeed have protected the village, but after killing their friend, can they ever wash the blood of their friend clean from their hands? Well, that wouldn't happen. Under normal circumstances, it wouldn't happen. Hashirama Senju killed his friend Uchiha Madara because he controlled the Nine Tails to destroy Konoha and kill the villagers. Such cruelty was unforgivable to Mito Uzumaki. What other price could there be? Like family members who lived with them day and night. Someone killed their own family in the so-called defense of Konoha. It couldn't happen. Konoha's future couldn't be this dire. Even in the turbulent Warring States period, ninjas fought for profit and to protect their loved ones. No one would harm their own loved ones. Mito Uzumaki, with her simple moral principles, quickly faltered, thinking she might have been overthinking things lately. Maybe I'm overthinking it, she sighed, dropping the subject. Maybe it's just too much work. Hashirama Senju noticed the weariness on his wife's face and gently inquired about the Nine Tails. I was worried it might cause trouble, so I brought it back to the village. Is it still obedient? Not bad, Mito Uzumaki thought, remembering the playful fox. Mito Uzumaki knew Konoha couldn't keep the Nine Tails sealed in the village's mountains forever. The Nine Tails' power was too great. And they would have to deal with this thorny problem sooner or later. If you insist on sealing the Nine Tails, keeping it sealed in the mountains of Konoha forever isn't safe. It could break free every day. Mito Uzumaki supported her husband and was willing to sacrifice herself for his ideals. The only safe way is to seal the Nine Tails within me as soon as possible. Only by using the unique chakra of our Uzumaki clan can we completely seal it. Then, wouldn't the Nine Tails become even more violent? If the seal is even slightly wrong, the Nine Tails will wreak havoc in the village. After saying this, Hashirama Senju added with a hint of guilt, then, with the Nine Tails within you, you might be seen as a dangerous factor by the villagers. From now on, Mito Uzumaki's voice dropped slightly. I'll try not to show up in the village anymore. Sorry, it's okay. The couple in the hospital ward seemed to be as harmonious as ever. Outside the ward, Uchiha Madara, having been single for a long time, found the conversation between Hashirama Senju and Mito Uzumaki a bit boring and was about to sneak away. However, a sentence caught Uchiha Madara's attention. Speaking of which, the Dr. Tobirama sent for is really strange. His identity is so mysterious that even I have to keep it a secret. However, his medical skills are truly exceptional, which means I don't have to worry too much. Uchiha Madara quietly laughed. This was a perfect coincidence. Now Uchiha Madara believed that he also needed a doctor to help him perform Hashirama Senju's flesh and blood transplant surgery. This was a two birds with one stone move. If this mysterious doctor who knew about Hashirama Senju's condition disappeared, it would surely cause panic throughout Konoha, as Hashirama's condition was a top secret in Konoha. This top secret would inevitably divert Tobirama's attention. As long as this mysterious doctor was not found, he would be a sharp sword hanging in the air, as he might reveal to the ninja world that Hashirama Senju had only 10 years left to live. It is impossible for Senju Tobirama to have any mood to study the corpse he left in the secret room. He will definitely mobilize the Konoha ninja to search for the doctor's whereabouts, and by the way, concentrate the remaining energy on solving the internal problems of Konoha within 10 years. As for the fact that his old friend Hashirama Senju only has 10 years left to live after the doctor was captured, Uchiha Madara stood outside Emiya Shiyuan's house, looking at the swaying candlelight by the window. A mocking sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. HMPH Hashirama, compared to the goal I want, our friendship is actually not that important. Hashirama, I have made up my mind I will kill you to achieve my goal. Jiraiya appears at the age of 50, and Tsunade appears at the age of 50 to 51. According to the original Konoha's 60-year plot time point, Tsunade was born to Hashirama Senju's daughter or son about 10 years after Konoha was founded. Uzumaki Miro must have married Hashirama Senju as early as the Warring States period, so Tsunade is the granddaughter. Chapter 18 Susanoo, the Boiling Konoha. Uchiha Madara. This was an unexpected guest. Emiya Shiyuan knew some information about Uchiha Madara. However, he couldn't reveal it to Black Zetsu. He even looked at Black Zetsu with surprise. hoping that Black Zetsu could provide him with information about the uninvited guest. Black Zetsu, do you know him? Black Zetsu was somewhat unsure how to respond. After all, Uchiha Madara was the new pawn it had found to resurrect Kaguya. It had even prepared a comprehensive plan for Uchiha Madara to fall into its trap, only to immediately discard him after encountering Emiya Shiyuan. Of course, such a thing couldn't be revealed. I know him, Black Zetsu nodded. However, Black Zetsu didn't have time to communicate with Emiya Shiyuan before Uchiha Madara arrived, so he could only quickly ask a crucial question. Emiya, when you gain the power of the six paths, Black Zetsu looked at Emiya Shiyuan. At his ordinary eyes, are the Rinnegan you transplanted still in this world? The Rinnegan. It had always been the most crucial issue. The Rinnegan was the starting point for Black Zetsu's quest to resurrect Kaguya. Those Rinnegan, I remember the slug destroyed them. Emiya Shiyuan rubbed his brow, as if he had encountered a difficult problem that was giving him a headache. Because I originally wanted to make my body into a medical specimen and leave it to future generations, I was worried that if someone got hold of the Rinnegan, they would use the power within to harm the ninja world. After returning to the Whetbone Forest, I removed the Rinnegan and transplanted my own eyes instead. Black Zetsu was silent for a moment. Actually, he had guessed it. The six-path sage's eyes were destroyed, so to speak. Black Zetsu was worried that leaving them behind would cause trouble. Forget it, it doesn't matter. Black Zetsu waved his hand quickly, offering his comfort. Although the birth of the Rinnegan was very troublesome, it wasn't unsolvable, and the person who came is the right person, someone who can truly awaken the Rinnegan. Black Zetsu could sense that Uchiha Madara was getting closer and closer, and its figure quietly hid. It only had time to remind him with one sentence, Emiya Shiyuan, don't reveal our secrets, and don't hurt him. Find out his intentions first. Emiya Shiyuan's eyes twitched. This is a challenge. Because he is a good man who is not good at deceiving and concealing in front of Black Zetsu, he can't lie to Uchiha Madara without scruples. He can't communicate because it will reduce Black Zetsu's trust. Even if it means putting Uchiha Madara, the uninvited guest, in crisis, he can't deceive Uchiha Madara without scruples. If he lies too unfamiliarly, Uchiha Madara will think there is something wrong. If he lies too skillfully, Black Zetsu will think there is something wrong. Moreover, Uchiha Madara is obviously not a good guy. Due to the limitations of the Impure World Reincarnation body, Emiya Shiyuan's own power cannot be used at will. Coupled with the surveillance of Black Zetsu, he cannot use the power of the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and the Samsara Eye. If he encounters Uchiha Madara looking for trouble, it will be quite difficult to fight. At this time Uchiha Madara had most likely come looking for trouble. Perhaps he simply intended to kill him. Unless, without observing anything, he arrogantly cast a Sharingan illusion on him. Squeak. The window quietly opened. Emiya Shiyuan instinctively turned his head. A crimson eye appeared before him. Like a full moon, it reflected within Shiyuan's pupil, adorned with 3 jet black Magatama beads, creating a strange, eerie effect. HMPH, addicted to Sharingan illusions, a cold, mocking smile played on Madara's lips. The arrogant man stood by the window, fingers pressed together, attempting to manipulate Shihara with his Sharingan illusion. This was the simplest way to fight. This was the most effective way. This was the safest way. Uchiha Madara didn't want to cause any disturbance, he wanted to abduct Shihara silently. Because he was fully capable of doing so. Uchiha Madara possessed the highest level Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Even if he lost one eye to cast Izanagi, the illusions he cast with the other were sufficient to easily control the tailed beasts. Except Hashirama, Uchiha Madara said with disdain, confident in his own illusions. No one in this world could escape this level of illusion. Emiya Shiyuan was instantly caught in the Sharingan's illusion. However, the battle of illusions often hinges on mental energy. When Uchiha Madara's will appeared within Shihara's, attempting to implant a mark of illusion control within his mind, he vaguely sensed something was amiss. This was because Uchiha Madara had seen a calf. Normally, when the Uchiha cast an illusion, they would transform into a terrifying figure aura within the opponent's mind, like an unrivaled god. That kind of spiritual energy that is as majestic as that of a god is innate to the Uchiha clan. It can completely crush the opponent's mental will, making people's brains only produce the power of fear and thus be directly controlled by their Sharingan. However, as the strongest of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Madara realized that the illusion he cast had encountered trouble. Uchiha Madara in the spiritual realm raised his head. He looked up along the calf and saw a majestic figure that was several times taller than him. The opponent's spiritual energy was even stronger. What a powerful soul is in this person's body. The Scarlet Sharingan was full of shock. Good evening, in the spiritual realm, accompanied by Emiya Shiyuan's voice like thunder, his palm stretched out from the void and lightly pressed on the spiritual energy shoulder of Uchiha Madara, instantly shattering his will. How is it possible? Uchiha Madara covered his eyes in pain. What a joke. In this world, apart from Hashirama Senju, how could there be anyone else who could resist his illusion, and even break his illusion easily? The collapse of the spiritual realm made the backlash of the illusion failure stronger than ever. Before Uchiha Madara could react, Emiya Shiyuan had already approached, and a black curse seal appeared on his fingertips and pointed at his arm. Curse seal? Uchiha Madara quickly dodged. Too late. There is not much chakra in his body. Emiya Shiyuan's finger pointed at Uchiha Madara's arm. A pitch-black curse seal quickly appeared on Uchiha Madara's arm. Just a curse seal. Uchiha Madara forcibly suppressed the mental pain that made him feel a splitting headache. He wanted to lift his fingers to untie the curse seal, but in a moment he realized that the energy of this curse seal was extraordinary. This is natural energy. Uchiha Madara is not ignorant of natural energy, because Senju Hashirama has boasted more than once that he has cultivated the sage mode using natural energy. Who on earth is this guy? Where did Senju Tobirama find this doctor from? Uchiha Madara couldn't imagine that there was such a powerful figure in the ninja world. He could only vaguely remember that Senju Tobirama once called the other party Sir Emiya. It was hasty. His actions were too hasty. He originally thought that the honorific title of Sir Emiya was a respect for the doctor's status, but he didn't expect that it might also be a respect for the other party's power. Not good. His own plan. Uchiha Madara was very aware of his own weakness. Because of the battle with Senju Hashirama, he did use I's energy to escape death, but the chakra in his body was almost exhausted, and his eye power was far from recovered. This little bit of eye power could only release a third-stage Susanoo at most. He was too careless this time. The most important thing was that his plan to kidnap the other party quietly failed. If he made any more noise, it would definitely alert Konoha. No, it would definitely alert Konoha, and there might even be big trouble. This was the worst. He originally wanted to hide the fact that he faked his death, but it was exposed because he underestimated the other party. Uchiha Madara didn't care about his pain and jumped up. He knew that he couldn't stay here any longer. Want to escape? Shihara Emiya raised his finger. As Shihara Emiya controlled it, dark curse seals appeared on Uchiha Madara's body. The curse seals of natural energy made it impossible for him to use chakra. He couldn't even move at all. Unless he used Susanoo. Once he used Susanoo, the fact that he faked his death would be exposed. However, if he continued to fight like this, he would most likely be defeated, and it would only be a matter of time before he was trapped here. Uchiha Madara was very aware of the terrifying recovery ability of Senju Hashirama. He knew that once the other party got to know about him, he would definitely rush over, and his recovery ability would definitely be faster than his own. Coupled with the despicable villain like Senju Tobirama and the power mobilized by other ninjas in Konoha, this guy Uchiha Madara gritted his teeth, clenched his fists with anger on his face, and the little eye power that had just recovered was suddenly activated. His emotions greatly affected the power of Sharingan. Only Susanoo, which relies on the power of the eyes, can directly break the blockade of the curse seal on the body. Boom! The tall blue Susanoo suddenly appeared. Even though this tall Susanoo was not wearing armor, it barely had a complete human form, and even some parts of its head were not filled in. However, this Susanoo was too familiar. Too many people had seen this blue Susanoo. The entire Konoha was completely boiling in an instant. Is that Uchiha Madara's Susanoo? Today's update is 6,000 words. Monthly votes are requested. Celebrating my stamp collection success, I've reached the Changshin chapter and am promoting it. Let them offer their loyalty, transmigrating to a chaotic, apocalyptic world filled with strange artifacts. Chu2 discovers he slept with a powerful figure. Since he's been discovered, why not just let it go? Strengthen your strength, cultivate influence, and tap into the beauty and power of beautiful subordinates, step by step to the pinnacle of this world. Catastrophic abilities and strange artifacts include, Orpiment Stone, which can erase your image. A mirror that allows you to freely adjust your appearance and replicate the look and voice of others, a beast head that summons a storm when kissed, a piggy bank that stores emotions, a flip potion that increases your favorability by hitting someone, and more. Chapter 19, Seeing You. I remembered the first Sharingan user I fought against. There was a commotion in Konoha. The 10-meter-tall Susanoo was so eye-catching. It was impossible for the Konoha ninjas to ignore its presence. In the Warring States period, a period most Konoha villagers had experienced, countless had seen this familiar Susanoo on the battlefield. How is this possible? How could Uchiha Madara's Susanoo appear? Uchiha Madara, killed by the first Hokage, is still alive. Uchiha Madara has struck again, the ninjas of Konoha cried out, most of them terrified. While they didn't know why Madara was still alive, they knew the power of his Susanoo. Legend has it that during the Warring States period, anyone on the opposing side of the Uchiha clan would be doomed the moment they saw Madara's Susanoo appear. A terrifying blue war god enlivening the battlefield. This was the image people had of Madara's Susanoo. Of course, this was certainly an exaggeration. Many ninjas in Konoha village had seen Uchiha Madara's Susanoo, and some had even survived. This didn't mean they dared to relax. They were aware of their own survivor bias, knowing that Susanoo had slain far more people. At this moment, everyone recalled the horror of being slaughtered by Susanoo's power. Especially since the Susanoo that appeared in Konoha village was merely a normal version of Uchiha Madara's Susanoo, far beyond the terrifying man's limits. Even so, it was a force no ordinary ninja could withstand. Go tell the Hokage, this was the first thought of most Konoha ninjas. Go report to Tobirama, this was the thought of the few Senju ninjas in Konoha. In reality, there was no need to notify them. Inside the Hokage building, Senju Tobirama was more aware of the threat posed by Uchiha Madara than anyone else. While handling matters for his elder brother, he heard the commotion and saw Uchiha Madara's Susanoo from the window, even observing its state. It's Madara, that bastard isn't dead yet. Senju Tobirama recognized him instantly, gritting his teeth as he gazed in the direction of the Susanoo's appearance. Although he didn't know why Uchiha Madara, who should have been slain by his elder brother, hadn't died, Senju Tobirama's first move was to rush over to deal with it. He tried to teleport there immediately, but was restrained by the pitch-black curse seal on his arm. Not good. He hadn't yet fully mastered this power, unable to freely utilize his chakra. He had neglected his duty to protect Konoha and made such a grave mistake. Just one more day of free time, and he would be able to grasp the power contained within the curse seal. He had been too careless in his pursuit of the hidden power of ancient times. He had to find Emiya Shiyuan. Only then could he undo this curse. Only then could he freely utilize his chakra. Then, remembering where he had placed Emiya Shiyuan, a cold sweat broke out on his forehead. This was the area where Konoha housed distinguished guests from outside. It was also the area where Uchiha Madara had appeared. What the hell was Uchiha Madara doing there? Senju Tobirama quickly rushed over with the Anbu ninjas, observing the damaged state of Uchiha Madara's third-stage Susanoo. I've seen Susanoo in this form before, but he couldn't even maintain it. It seemed that this evil bastard had escaped death, but he had nearly exhausted his strength in that battle after all. Madara has appeared again. Senju Hashirama didn't have time to think too much. He didn't even have time to say anything to Uzumaki Mido. The couple also quickly rushed towards the direction where Uchiha Madara had appeared. Senju Hashirama ignored his own injuries, and Uzumaki Mido ignored her exhaustion. Within the towering Susanoo, Uchiha Madara stood in his head, gritting his teeth. His gaze swept across Konoha, and he saw countless figures rushing towards him. This group of ant-like ninjas was a threat to his escape at this moment. Of course. The most daunting of all was undoubtedly the mysterious figure before him. Uchiha Madara, through the damaged head of his Susanoo, spotted Emiya Shiyuan standing below, a move that filled him with deep resentment and anger at his own exposure. Susanoo, I never expected to see such awe-inspiring power in this day and age. Emiya Shiyuan looked up at Uchiha Madara's Susanoo and asked with sincerity and humility, although I've always disliked fighting, isn't it a bit too much to underestimate your opponent with only a third-stage Susanoo? Uchiha Madara's eyes narrowed slightly. This guy actually knew Susanoo so well. He wasn't even bothered by the threat of a third-stage Susanoo. However, Uchiha Madara didn't dwell on it. His hasty Susanoo release was merely to release the cursed seal within him. His true purpose was to use Susanoo's power to escape. You guy, who the hell are you? Uchiha Madara narrowed his eyes, estimating in his mind the time when Senju Hashirama would arrive. He just wanted to know who this person in front of him was who had caused him such a big loss. There was no doubt that the other party was an extremely powerful and terrifying person. At least Uchiha Madara had never seen anyone who could easily break his illusion like this man in front of him, and even relied on his tyrannical mental strength to crush him instantly. Even if he cast an illusion in his heyday, he would not be the opponent of the other party. Especially since this guy's identity was so mysterious. Even Senju Hashirama didn't know his identity. As someone who had fought in the Warring States period, Uchiha Madara had never thought that there were other powerful people in this world besides him and Senju Hashirama. I always thought that the only one who could compete with me was Hashirama. I never thought that such a small ninja world would have someone like you. Uchiha Madara stared at Emiya Shiyuan with his only remaining Sharingan. While observing his situation vigilantly, he continued to question in a deep voice, "A person as powerful as you should not be an unknown person. This sentence seems to sound familiar to me." Emiya Shiyuan frowned and thought for a second, then suddenly raised his head and said, "It reminds me of the first Sharingan ninja who was defeated by me." Huh? Uchiha Madara suddenly became curious. Could it be that someone else in their clan had fought with this person? Indra. Emiya Shiyuan looked up at Uchiha Madara and introduced Indra's identity. "If there is any record in your clan, Indra is the ancestor of your Sharingan clan. When I defeated him," Emiya Shiyuan told the truth very frankly and did not lie to Uchiha Madara on this point. "He happened to say the same thing to you. This is the real truth." When Emiya Shiyuan tried to assassinate Indra for the first time, Indra also said in disbelief that there were people like Emiya Shiyuan in the ninja world, and just like now, he claimed that a powerful person like Emiya Shiyuan should not be unknown. Uchiha Madara certainly didn't believe this kind of thing. "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" Uchiha Madara's face was full of anger. He clenched his fist and wanted to control Susanoo to punch Emiya Shiyuan. This bastard actually dared to use such words to tease him. Although Uchiha Madara didn't know the name of his ancestor, he knew that he would never believe such stupid things. "I am Emiya Shiyuan." Emiya Shiyuan shook his head, as if he didn't care about Uchiha Madara's rage. He calmly raised his finger and sighed, "I never like to lie to people." Crack. A huge stone arm suddenly appeared on the ground. The stone arm clenched its fist and forcibly collided with Susanoo's fist. What? Uchiha Madara's heart suddenly felt a shock like a storm. He was not surprised that his attack was easily blocked, he was just surprised at the name he heard. He had heard the name Emiya Shiyuan too many times. A new day. Chapter 20. Dance here to your heart's content. Nine-tailed fox. Emiya Shiyuan, the greatest medical ninja in the ninja world. Uchiha Madara actually didn't like being a medical ninja. However, when Uchiha Madara met his friend Hashirama Senju as a child, he heard the name countless times from his friend, Hashirama Senju, and memories of the past resurfaced from the depths of his mind. "Madara, have you heard the story of Emiya Shiyuan? Our clan has long passed down the story of Emiya Shiyuan-sama. Have you heard his story since childhood? To endure the pain that others cannot endure, to save those who endure pain. This is the ninja way that Emiya Shiyuan-sama left for the world. Madara, I secretly saw it today. Don't tell anyone. We have a crystal coffin left by Emiya Shiyuan-sama at home. Madara, Dad won't let me become a medical ninja. Besides, my younger brother Emiya is dead. Learning medicine won't protect the people I want to protect. Medical ninja can't change this turbulent era." These memories drifted away with the wind. Uchiha Madara was almost forgetting these memories, almost forgetting that Hashirama Senju had long ago given up something important. Emiya Shiyuan. This was a sage from ancient times. Legend has it that he was the most accomplished medical ninja in Chinese medicine. Uchiha Madara understood why Konoha had kept Emiya Shiyuan's identity secret. That Senju Tobirama, always fond of studying vile ninjutsu, must have developed some shameful forbidden technique, resurrecting this ancient sage. Indeed, only Emiya Shiyuan could possibly heal Hashirama. I see. A flicker of realization crossed Uchiha Madara's face. Since the other party was a ninja from ancient times, it wasn't surprising that he possessed some unique skills. Suffering a heavy loss at his hands wasn't shameful. Moreover, knowing that he was that renowned sage from ancient times, revealing his identity didn't seem like a disadvantage. However, it was time for him to leave Konoha. "Madara," a figure in red plate armor descended. "You're still alive." Hashirama Senju appeared before them, nearly fully armed. His gaze fixed on Uchiha Madara, who was engulfed in Susanoo. A subtle, complex expression lingered in his eyes. This dear friend he had killed himself had resurrected and appeared before him once more. To stop Uchiha Madara's Susanoo's devastation, Hashirama, despite his own wounds, rushed over before him. "You're so quick, Hashirama." As Hashirama appeared, Madara's gaze was subconsciously drawn to the red-armored figure below. You're... Hashirama glanced at Shihara beside him. He felt his profile looked vaguely familiar. Was it the doctor who had treated him today? Or was it a kind man he had met somewhere? As the village Hokage, he had long memorized every ninja in the village, even the children. He wasn't from Konoha. He wasn't an enemy of the village. He should be called a guest of the village. Why was there something a little dead about him? Did he seem to be in a strange state? Although Hashirama Senju didn't get a clear look at Emiya Shiyuan's face at the Konoha hospital, he knew he was an outsider found by Tobirama Senju, otherwise he wouldn't have been housed in the village's residence for distinguished guests. "I am." Emiya Shiyuan stepped forward to introduce himself. "Go to shelter. Leave this to me." Hashirama Senju gave a nonchalant order, then returned his gaze to Uchiha Madara. He saw that one of his eyes was a strange grayish-white. That eye had been intact during battle. How could it now be a blinding grayish-white? "Madara, your eye." Hashirama Senju looked at Uchiha Madara's eyes with some surprise. "Don't be curious, it's just the price I paid for avoiding being killed by you." Uchiha Madara clenched his fists, his expression suddenly fierce and cold. He suddenly opened his palms and clenched them again, trying to squeeze out all the power in his eyes. "I was planning to say a few words and leave, but now it looks like things are getting a bit complicated." Indeed, it was complicated. Hashirama Senju is such a hassle. Boom. The damaged Susanoo is rapidly repairing itself. Susanu's third form stands tall in Konoha like a giant azure blue. Wood release. Hashirama Senju's palms suddenly close together. Vines spring up from the ground and wrap around Susanoo's arms. "That trick again." Uchiha Madara, displeased, suddenly clenched his fists. A huge, curved sword gleaming with blue light emerged from Susanoo's hand, wielding it to cut through the vines one by one. As if their battle begins anew here. This is the aftermath of the previous life and death battle. The severely injured Hashirama Senju and the resurrected Uchiha Madara seem intent on rekindling their conflict here. Hashirama, Mito Uzumaki looked at her husband with some concern in her eyes. "You must restrain your chakra use now that you're injured, otherwise, no." Hashirama Senju responded in a deep voice, not caring about his own body. "Leave here first. Although I'm somewhat relieved that Madara is still alive, this time I must kill him once and for all." "Are you saying you can kill me again?" Uchiha Madara's voice echoed in the air. The moment he noticed Mito Uzumaki, a strange and fierce look flashed across his face. "Madara, I will never let you leave." A look of determination flashed across Hashirama Senju's face. "Even if you escape death, but you want to destroy our village again." Hashirama Senju's palms suddenly closed, and huge vines emerged from the surrounding empty spaces like giant trees. These vines, without exception, continued to extend. No matter what, he could not let Uchiha Madara leave again. Even at this moment, even at the risk of his own life, he was determined to keep Uchiha Madara alive, fearing he'd make a comeback and once again attempt to destroy Konoha. "Then I'll wait and see." Uchiha Madara stretched out his finger, drawing a small amount of blood. His palm was still slowly forming hand seals, and his voice seemed to grow somewhat leisurely. There was something vaguely strange and unsettling about this situation. Hashirama Senju frowned as he considered the possible scenarios. He could sense that Uchiha Madara, like himself, was nearing exhaustion. Even Madara's eye power couldn't add armor to his Susanoo. His own recovery ability was even greater than Madara's. Could he possibly have any other means? And Konoha ninjas were arriving in a steady stream. Although Hashirama Senju hoped that no one would come close, he knew that in the ninja battles of the Warring States period, even a small helper could be of great help. For example, his younger brother, Tobirama Senju. Hashirama Senju didn't need their help. He just couldn't think of any chance for Uchiha Madara to turn the tables, which made him even more suspicious of his methods. "Hashirama, in our battle, even the slightest mistake can be fatal. Even a small helper can take the enemy's life." Uchiha Madara's lips curled up, and he finally formed a hand seal. He sneered at Uzumaki Mito, who was standing not far behind Hashirama Senju. What if it was the most vicious helper in the world? Hashirama Senju and Mito Uzumaki's minds tightened at the same time. Oh no. They had guessed something. "But, I'm not interested in continuing a repetitive battle." Uchiha Madara stood in Susanoo and gave Emiya Shiyuan a ferocious smile that he thought was kind. "I have gained a lot today, and there are still many questions that may be answered. Come visit me again if there is a chance, Madara. Senju Hashirama watched with some uneasiness as Uchiha Madara's hand fell after completing the hand seal. You want to summon a spirit? Ninjutsu, summoning technique. Uchiha Madara's voice and eyes were equally cold. He slammed his palm heavily on his Susanoo, and a surge of smoke and air wave swept over. This air wave was so surging. Many Konoha ninjas who came were knocked to the ground on the way. The entire Konoha building was shrouded in the smoke wrapped in the air wave this time. Stay here and dance to your heart's content, nine-tailed fox. Uchiha Madara's fierce voice echoed in the smoke. Uchiha Madara's figure disappeared in front of everyone under the cover of smoke, leaving behind only a giant monster with 9 tails, the most ferocious tailed beast in the world. I felt familiar after writing this. It seems that the 1st and 4th generations. Chapter 21 New Mission Commission, Quell the Nine-Tailed Fox Rebellion. The Nine Tails. The most ferocious tailed beast in the world. Its ferocity often stems from its sheer power. As the tailed beast with the greatest chakra in the ninja world, coupled with its powerful abilities, the Nine Tails possesses near unrivaled power. Compared to Uchiha Madara, who had just escaped Konoha amidst the thick fog, the Nine Tails became Konoha's primary threat, particularly since it had been brought back by Hashirama Senju. Madara used the power of his Sharingan to control the Nine Tails and attack Konoha, sparking a life-or-death battle between him and Hashirama. Hashirama used the Nine Tails' power to severely injure Hashirama. After the battle, Hashirama brought the Nine Tails back to Konoha and temporarily sealed it in the mountains behind Konoha, where Mito Uzumaki remained to guard it. This should have been a safe haven. However, Mito Uzumaki's presence there caused the Nine Tails to stumble upon an unforeseen event. Madara, seeking to escape Konoha, summoned it to protect him from Hashirama's clutches. Now, this ferocious beast has broken free. But it remains under control. Because 3 pitch-black Magatama were visible in its blood-red pupils, a sign that it was once again under Uchiha Madara's control. Roar, the Nine Tails roared to the heavens, venting its rage. The massive tailed beast instantly crushed a building, its 9 orange tails lashing out wildly behind it. For it, the past few days had been a humiliation. Whether it was being forced into a battle by Uchiha Madara through a summoning contract, or being subdued by Senju Hashirama in battle, or being suppressed by Uzumaki Miro in a sealed cage in the mountains behind. Every experience was a shame to it. This rage, further fueled by the Sharingan, amplified. After the Nine Tails roared to the heavens, its gaze immediately dropped, catching sight of Senju Hashirama and Uzumaki Mito standing before it. One had subdued it through force, the other through a seal. This couple truly deserved death, and it would tear them apart. Madara actually signed a summoning contract with the Nine Tails. Senju Hashirama didn't seem too concerned about the Nine Tails' threat. While the Nine Tails was a terrifying beast that most ninjas couldn't defeat, it was a tailed beast that he could subdue with minimal effort. He was confident he could subdue it. Even so, Hashirama had to confront the Nine Tails' threat to Konoha. He couldn't afford to pursue Uchiha Madara anymore, he had to deal with the Nine Tails first. Let me do it, Uzumaki Miro stepped forward. For Mito, the Nine Tails wasn't an insurmountable threat. Although she felt weak and exhausted, she believed she was more suited to dealing with it than Hashirama, believing her husband's injuries were more important. Just then, a Vajraroi staff descended from the sky. The staff emanated dozens of shadow clones, forming a massive fence wall that firmly separated the tyrannical Nine Tails from Hashirama and his wife. Sarutobi Sasuke manipulated the Vajra ninja rod to temporarily halt the Nine Tails, then leaped in front of Hashirama Senju and his wife. Hokage-sama, Mito-sama, as a guard ninja, Sarutobi Sasuke felt somewhat remiss. He slowed down a bit, and hurried over with his guards. This scene is a bit strange. Standing behind the couple, Emiya Shiyuan felt that the scene was a bit strange, as if there were too many strange elements. The Nine Tails was being controlled by the Uchiha and causing chaos. The Hokage who came to deal with the Nine Tails was a hero. This Hokage was accompanied by his wife. This wife was also a member of the Uzumaki clan, mastering the sealing technique that was adept at dealing with the tailed beasts, but for some reason her body was a little weak and not at her peak. Coincidentally, another ninja named Sarutobi was trying to stop the Nine Tails rebellion. If Emiya Shiyuan found it strange, it would be fine, but perhaps his ninja system also detected something too strange, and at this moment, a commission was refreshed, SSS level commission, quell the Nine Tails rebellion in Konoha. No, the smell is wrong. No, the timing isn't right either. Do I need to quell the Nine Tails rebellion at this time? Just one random person from Senju Hashirama and Uzumaki Miro could keep the Nine Tails in check. No, that's not the point at all. Emiya Shiyuan realized he seemed to have grasped something. This Nine Tails rebellion had never happened in his past life. His treatment of Senju Hashirama had attracted Uchiha Madara, and he had exposed Madara's existence, forcing Madara to summon the Nine Tails, which allowed him to leave Konoha. He could even say he had personally caused this Nine Tails rebellion. Emiya Shiyuan's eyes narrowed slightly, as if he understood the mechanism that triggered certain missions, as if he had discovered a triggering mechanism. Even though his power was so great that only a perfect resurrection was missing, he still wasn't completely sure. It just so happened that in this era, there were still some quite magical techniques, perhaps some that could further enhance his chakra. Who wouldn't want to have enough power? Who wouldn't want to be even more powerful? Besides, this mission wasn't difficult. Speaking of which, I think I've had some dealings with the tailed beasts before. The only problem is, the Nine Tails isn't quite sober now, and might not recognize its old friend. Of course, even if it were awake, it would have long forgotten. After all, that happened over 1,000 years ago. Unfinished Ninja Commission, 3/3, let me handle it. Emiya Shiyuan accepted the commission to quell the Nine Tails rebellion, stepped forward in front of the crowd, and whispered, "It's best if the patient doesn't use chakra carelessly. It's bad for your health. You can leave this to me for now, Your Excellency." As Hashirama, Senju and Mito Uzumaki turned around at the same time. Huh? A hint of surprise crossed Sarutobi Sasuke's face, followed by a hint of concern. "You're a guest of Konoha? How dare we let you take this risk?" However, they didn't have time to communicate before the Nine Tails began to release its chakra unrestrainedly. This chakra eruption, overwhelming everything like a hurricane, filled the eyes of the tailed beast with an almost uncontrollable fury. Roar! The Nine Tails swung its claws and grabbed down. In an instant, the fence formed by the Vajra Ninja Rod was reduced to smoke. Although Sarutobi Sasuke's Vajra Ninja Rod was strong, there was only one true Vajra Ninja Rod, the others were merely clones. Emiya Shiyuan suddenly leaped up, kicking away the Nine Tails' claws. Using the momentum, he leaped into the air, a faint glow of chakra emanating from his feet. The next moment, a tremendous force slammed into the back of the Nine Tails' neck. Boom! The behemoth was knocked to the ground by this kick. For Emiya Shiyuan, the chakra he could use at full capacity was not much, but it was barely enough to perform his super strength physical skills. The Konoha ninjas were shocked by this blow. No one had ever seen the strongest beast in the ninja world brought down by a single blow. Roar! However, this blow only intensified the Nine Tails' ferocity. It roared and scrambled to its feet, clutching at Shihara Emiya, only to be kicked in the chest again by Shihara Emiya, sending it careening backwards. "This is the extraordinary strength of our clan," Hashirama Senju observed in amazement at the display of his power. "Perhaps our clan didn't develop this extraordinary strength?" Tobirama Senju's voice echoed in their ears. Upon hearing his elder brother's words, he subconsciously defended Shihara Emiya. This extraordinary strength is primarily chakra control. Through subtle chakra control, the body's chakra is precisely directed and released into a single area. Generally speaking, in the ninja world, this extremely subtle chakra control ability is often reserved for medical ninjas. This extraordinary strength is actually a specialty of medical ninjas. The Emiya Shiyuan who wielded this extraordinary strength happened to be the first medical ninja in the entire ninja world. According to the relationship between Emiya Shiyuan and the ancestors of the Senju clan, it is possible that this strange power was invented by the other party and left to the Senju clan. After all, their clan's surname comes from Emiya Shiyuan. Due to too many factors, my first reaction was that the Nine-Tailed Rebellion broke out. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Jayu Lama, it seems that you have not had a good life these years. In reality, Senju Tobirama arrived a bit late. He had intended to rush over immediately, but then he noticed the extremely weakened state of Uchiha Madara's Susanoo, and seeing his elder brother appear, his immediate decision became clear. Beware of Uchiha Madara's escape from Konoha. To prevent him from escaping, Senju Tobirama took the time to arrange for the village's Anbu ninja to rush to various areas to cut off any escape routes. After completing all this, Senju Tobirama hurried here, hoping to get Emiya Shiyuan to release his cursed seal. As soon as he recovered, he would quickly pursue the equally weakened Uchiha Madara. This was his best chance to kill him again. It seemed he was a step too late. It was Emiya Shiyuan who was actually helping to stop the Nine-Tails rampage. However, as Senju Tobirama stood there, he realized this might be the best option for Konoha, as the group wasn't particularly powerful at the moment. His elder brother, Hashirama Senju, hadn't fully recovered yet. His sister-in-law, Mito Uzumaki, was weak from suppressing the Nine-Tails. As the speedster himself, his chakra was temporarily blocked by the energy of the cursed seal. It was only fitting that Emiya Shiyuan offered his assistance. Sasuke, Senju Tobirama watched the battle between the Nine-Tails and Shihara Emiya, no longer worried about dealing with the Nine-Tails. He barked out orders, "Immediately take your men and assist the Anbu squads in searching for Madara. We'll be there after we've dealt with the Nine-Tails." "Yes," Sarutobi Sasuke quickly agreed. "Tobirama, by the way, this guy looks so familiar." Hashirama Senju watched Shihara Emiya, who was engaged in a fierce battle with the Nine-Tails. His eyes caught Shihara Emiya's profile and he whispered, "Although there's something strange about him, I feel like I've seen him as a child. Is it really just an illusion?" Senju Tobirama fell silent. "Brother, how dare you ask such a question? Brother, have you forgotten the childhood when you would always sneak around Emiya Shihara's crystal coffin and receive the profound teachings from our father?" "Brother," Senju Tobirama, hoping to skip over the matter of Emiya Shihara, rarely mentioned the man he hated the most. "What's the matter with that Madara guy? How did that guy escape death? Or was this all conspiracy?" Senju Tobirama suspected that Uchiha Madara had faked his death and had been secretly observing Konoha. Otherwise, Uchiha Madara wouldn't have found this place. Senju Tobirama even guessed why Uchiha Madara had come to Emiya Shihara's residence. He also guessed that Uchiha Madara must have clashed with Emiya Shihara. Perhaps Uchiha Madara wanted to kill or take Emiya Shihara away. Konoha would be in big trouble then. After all, Emiya Shihara was the only one who knew his brother's condition, and even the hope of curing his brother lay solely in Emiya Shihara. News about Big Brother must not be leaked, or the other ninja villages, eyeing him with eager eyes, will surely make some move. If Uchiha Madara truly does so, an unprecedented war might erupt, embroiling all ninja in it. This time, it was Hashirama Senju's turn to remain silent. He remained silent for a moment before returning his gaze to the Nine-Tails. "Let's deal with the Nine-Tails first. After today's Nine-Tails incident, I intend to leave the village for a while to track down Madara and find out what he's up to, if he still wants to harm Konoha. I'll kill him at all costs." On the other side of the battlefield, Emiya Shihara's battle with the Nine-Tails was nearing its end. "Roar!" The Nine-Tails roared shrilly. It didn't even have the chance to release its tail beast ball. "Be quiet for a moment." Emiya Shihara's body suddenly fell to the ground. He raised his left hand, clasping his fingers towards the Nine-Tails, which was so close. Earth release. Countless chunks of mud and rocks surged from the ground. The dirt and rocks quickly gathered and enveloped the Nine-Tails. Roar! The Nine-Tails struggled to break free. The ferocious tailed beast swung its claws, attempting to grab Emiya Shihara. However, Emiya Shihara ignored the Nine-Tails' sharp claws, which could strike at any moment. His 5 fingers remained clenched, and the dirt and rocks from the ground continued to pour out. A pitch-black curse seal emerged from Emiya Shihara's feet like a barrier. The seal's energy enveloped the dirt and rocks like flowing water, making the surging dirt and rocks mixed with a strange black color. Die! The Nine-Tails' claws grabbed down fiercely. With just one strike, he could tear Emiya Shihara into pieces. However, the Nine-Tails' claws were ultimately unable to swing down. The dirt and rocks on the ground transformed into a hill, completely trapping its body within it. Pitch-black curse seals emerged from the hill. This curse seal turned into an unbreakable seal, completely restraining the Nine-Tails' movements, making its body unable to move. The Nine-Tails' head was exposed, glaring at Emiya Shihara with bared teeth, and one of its sharp claws was only 1 foot away from Emiya Shihara's head. What a familiar feeling! Emiya Shihara looked at the ferocious-looking Nine-Tails, and a trace of nostalgia flashed across his face. "It still feels the same as when I was a child, always a little short at the critical moment, too strong," Senju Hashirama praised nonchalantly. "Although with this strength, This sentence did not sound like a compliment, but more like a bit of sarcasm. Indeed, Uzumaki Miro could not help but praise. Although with her ability, this sentence also seemed a bit sarcastic. No hand seals needed, you can unleash such a powerful earth-style ninjutsu. Senju Tobirama offered his praise, even going so far as to expound on his strength. Even while performing the earth-style ninjutsu, you still have the energy to infuse the energy of the sealed seal. The ninjas of ancient times were truly too powerful. A mere medical ninja possessed such formidable power. And he was even performing this while under the constraints of his Impure World Reincarnation state. But it wasn't over yet. Emiya Shiyuan stepped in front of the Ninetales. He raised his finger and pointed it at the Ninetales' head, instantly unleashing the Sharingan's Genjutsu, restoring clarity to its eyes. Release, roar. However, freed from the Sharingan's control, the Ninetales remained furious, seemingly controlled by its own emotions, roaring and struggling to break free from its seal. The Ninetales. Whenever it encountered a human, it was filled with rage and a desire to kill. For its chakra was already a fusion of hatred and pain. Snap. A finger snapped in the Ninetales' ear. The sound was abrupt, but it immediately alerted the beast. The world's most ferocious tailed beast instantly regained its composure from its rage, memories from ancient times slowly resurfacing in its mind. Kuroma. Are you awake? Emiya Shiyuan's voice sounded familiar. This familiarity also brought a wave of drowsiness to the Ninetales, reminiscent of the time in ancient times when it was utterly sleepy on a journey, forced from its slumber by a human to pull a cart. Let me sleep some more, the Ninetales habitually snorted. The next moment, it suddenly realized. This wasn't ancient times at all. How could the long-dead human and its memory appear over 1,000 years later? Even the old man of the six paths couldn't achieve immortality. That tiny, fragile human was already dead. Emiya Shiyuan, the Ninetales' pupils shifted, its eyes finally focused. The Ninetales looked at the figure standing before it. Seeing that familiar face, the once tiny and fragile human, it felt a chill in its heart. It's you? How did you show up in this era? Do you really remember me? A hint of surprise crossed Emiya Shiyuan's face. I'd almost forgotten we were old friends. SSS level mission, quell the Ninetales rebellion in Konoha. Mission completed. Reward, Ninetales chakra, SSS level chakra, and tailed beast ball. Currently unusable due to Impure World Reincarnation, this was a power unattainable in ancient times. Or rather, a reward readily available in ancient times, yet chosen not to be taken. Emiya Shiyuan nearly became the first Ninetales Jinchuriki in the ninja world, but for some reason, he chose not to. You bastard, have you forgotten? The Ninetales' glare suddenly grew fierce. The tailed beast seemed to have its reverse scale touched, staring at Shihara Emiya in front of it, as if the other party said something wrong, it would immediately jump out of the seal and tear the person in front of it into pieces. You've learned to curse? Shihara Emiya looked at the Ninetales in surprise. You guy. The Ninetales looked at Shihara Emiya with a ferocious face. You guy, do you think I dare not kill you? The chakra has become fierce. The emotions affected by the chakra have also become extreme. In the eyes of everyone's disbelief, Shihara Emiya stretched out his palm and symbolically scratched the Ninetales' chin. It seems that you haven't had a good time in the past 1,000 years. Please read and vote for me. Reading seems to be related to the coefficient of the new book list. There seems to be no horses in the ninja world. The only thing is the ox cart that the daimyo nobles ride during the Chunin exam. Chapter 23 The Story of Kyuubi and Emiya Shiyuan. Emiya Shiyuan and the nine-tailed fox didn't spend much time together. Once upon a time, in ancient times, while traveling and stopping in a small village to heal the sick, Shihara happened to see a young nine-tailed fox, curious about humans but afraid to approach. Back then, the young nine-tailed fox was incredibly adorable. Though enormous, its appearance was a bit silly, and it occasionally exhibited childish tantrums. Curious about the revered Emiya Shiyuan, the young nine-tailed fox took to sneaking around, foolishly believing it could conceal its enormous size. Emiya Shiyuan had no intention of doing anything to the young nine-tailed fox, simply wanting to chat with him about his own journeys healing the sick and saving the lives of others. The young nine-tailed fox, however, wanted to follow him, even insisting, like a fool, on pulling his cart. The young nine-tailed fox was overjoyed, knowing it would no longer feel lonely. The young nine-tails, Emiya Shiyuan, and the slug enjoyed a joyful journey together, visiting numerous villages and enjoying the sights. They rescued many patients along the way. Despite its enormous size in its infancy, the Ninetales, feared by many humans, briefly sought to make Emiya Shiyuan its Jinchuriki, offering to seal itself within him to enhance his chakra. However, Shihara declined. Sadly, this brief friendship soon ended. Shihara made no secret of his desire to destroy the ninja clan and fight the Six Paths Sage. Ultimately, after a period of intense struggle and unsuccessful attempts to persuade Shihara to give up, the Ninetales secretly left him late one night. After all, it was created by the Six Paths Sage. Its choice to follow Shihara stemmed from his words: the tailed beasts would one day meet companions with whom they could forge a bond. Although the Ninetales greatly enjoyed its journeys with Shihara Emiya in its youth, it didn't want to be used by Shihara against the Sage of Six Paths. It was heartbroken when he left. Later, it overheard a conflict between Shihara Emiya and the ninja clan and learned of Shihara's death after his failed attack on the clan, leaving it devastated for a long time. Later, believing it could form a friendship with Shihara, it thought it could also form friendships with other humans, only to discover that humans weren't as idyllic as it had imagined. The Ninetales possessed unique abilities. As the most powerful of the nine-tailed beasts in the ninja world, it possessed a remarkable intelligence and the ability to discern the good and evil of most humans. Unfortunately, the disparity between humans was profound. While humans feared its existence, they also sought to exploit its power, even attempting to deceive or even forcefully obtain its chakra. And these humans still wanted its chakra? Even its only friend, Shihara Emiya, had never received it. These experiences infuriated the Ninetales, a creature capable of sensing good and evil. It easily slew those who attempted to exploit its power to establish dominance. As the Ninetales grew, its slaughter grew, and its hostility towards humanity grew. It never found a friend in this world. Eventually, through human legend, the world's most ferocious tailed beast was born. Kuroma, Emiya Shiyuan gazed at the now grown, now incredibly ferocious Ninetales before him, shaking his head with regret. It looks nothing like the cute little one it was when it was little. The Ninetales bared its teeth in anger, ready to bite him. This was its first friend. Perhaps it would also be its only friend. It was Emiya Shiyuan's presence that sparked its desire to socialize and befriend humans, a desire that ultimately brought disastrous consequences. When the Ninetales truly began to clash with humans, killing them recklessly, its emotions inevitably took hold, and negative chakra, anger, pain, and hatred, slowly began to emerge. Forget it, Emiya Shiyuan, let me go first. The Ninetales glanced at the Senju Hashirama couple standing behind Emiya Shiyuan, then turned back to Emiya Shiyuan in front of him. I'm going to kill them, Kuroma. Fighting only brings pain and hatred. Emiya Shiyuan repeated what the Ninetales had said to him, reminding it, that's what you told me before you left me. The Ninetales nearly choked with anger. The Ninetales never imagined that over 1,000 years later, it would still be pierced by the boomerang it had thrown when it was young and ignorant. How could it have been so naive back then? A group of Konoha ninjas watched this scene in amazement, a hint of surprise in their eyes. They had never imagined that the ferocious Ninetales could get along so well with humans. At least the Ninetales was much kinder than before. It even communicated with Emiya Shiyuan on an equal footing. Compared to the Ninetales' kindness, the most shocking thing was Emiya Shiyuan's identity. Emiya Shiyuan, did I hear correctly just now? Senju Hashirama thought of the ninja he admired most in his childhood, and realized why he always looked at Emiya Shiyuan's profile and felt familiar. Because when he was a child, he always liked to secretly look at the half-dead body in the crystal coffin. That's why he felt a little familiar when he saw the front face, and felt very familiar when he saw the profile, and even thought that they had met before. Is it really Lord Emiya? Senju Hashirama realized the problem, and suddenly remembered that his younger brother once mentioned a technique that he had ordered to be banned a long time ago. Wait, Tobirama, I remember I asked you to seal up the Impure World Reincarnation technique a long time ago. This younger brother ignored his orders, and it would be fine. He must have also destroyed the sacred crystal coffin that had been passed down from generation to generation in the Senju clan, disturbed the peace of the deceased Emiya Shiyuan, and sacrificed the life of a living person. Brother, this is a helpless measure. Senju Tobirama hugged his arms. He knew that his elder brother would definitely object, but he also had a way to deal with his elder brother. Now you should not pay attention to Lord Emiya, we should pay attention to that guy Madara. Lord Emiya, Senju Tobirama was a smart man. He saw the friendly relationship that Emiya Shiyuan and the Nine Tails used to have, and took the initiative to propose, "Leave the next matter to us. Konoha will find a way to protect the Nine Tails to prevent it from being controlled by Madara using the Sharingan. This is a realistic problem," Senju Tobirama said reasonably. "The Nine Tails wants to stop being controlled by Madara. We may have to take some troublesome measures to restrict its freedom. Madara has escaped. It will take a long time for Big Brother to track down Madara. We have all seen that Madara and the Nine Tails signed a summoning contract. He can find the Nine Tails at any time, and his Sharingan can also control the Nine Tails to cause chaos in the ninja world at any time. We must make a choice as soon as possible." In fact, Senju Tobirama didn't care about Emiya Shiyuan's opinion at all. He could have announced forcefully that Konoha would decide the fate of the Nine Tails, but he needed to use Emiya Shiyuan to heal his elder brother, so he was willing to be more tactful. This is an unsolvable multiple-choice question. Let Emiya Shiyuan choose whether the Nine Tails should be protected by their Konoha, or whether the Nine Tails should continue to be controlled by Uchiha Madara in the future. Even Emiya Shiyuan couldn't find any fault with these words. Emiya Shiyuan looked at the Nine Tails behind him and let it decide its own fate. "What do you think, Kurama?" "I want to kill them." The Nine Tails squeezed out a murderous intent from between its teeth. "Next time that bastard Madara dares to summon me again, I will kill that bastard Madara with my own hands." Emiya Shiyuan supported his forehead. "No, why are you still blowing it up? How can you feel comfortable being controlled by someone at a glance? How do you want to protect the Nine Tails?" Emiya Shiyuan looked at Senju Tobirama next to him. "Your Excellency Emiya." Uzumaki Mito took the initiative to step forward, her arm raised lightly, and whispered the truth. "Konoha originally planned to seal the Nine Tails in my body and let me become the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Strictly speaking, this is not protection, but just to avoid, huh?" The Nine Tails snorted in dissatisfaction. It was not very satisfied with Uzumaki Mito. It remembered an idea of its own in the past. The last person who wanted to become a Jinchuriki was this guy Emiya Shiyuan. Okay, it's me who wants to be the Nine Tails Jinchuriki." Emiya Shiyuan rubbed his brows, thinking that there was something wrong with the memory in the fox's brain, and said regretfully, "It's a pity that I'm dead, and it's impossible for me to become the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. I don't have this idea anymore, nor do I have the ability, Kurama." Emiya Shiyuan looked up at the Nine Tails. His attitude was more honest than ever. "You should go find your true companions, friends who can truly accompany you. The nine-tailed fox is quite cute when it was young. It's a pity that it was spoiled by the Six Paths when it was young, and it is impossible for it to betray the Six Paths sage." Chapter 24 Konoha, why do you think you are worthy of Emiya Shiyuan's special attention? In the mountains behind Konoha, the Nine Tails, feeling down, chose Mito Uzumaki. After all, it truly didn't want to be used by that Uchiha Madara guy. At least Mito Uzumaki seemed to respect Emiya Shiyuan. If nothing else, her respect for Emiya Shiyuan showed that this woman wasn't such a bad person. Mito Uzumaki thus became the first Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. Mito Uzumaki would seal the Nine Tails within herself to prevent it from being summoned by Madara Uchiha and from causing widespread slaughter and destruction in the ninja world. She would also strive to neutralize its negative energy. HMPH, the Nine Tails held no deep resentment. It knew this was the best option at the moment. Mito Uzumaki treated it with gentleness, not seeking to manipulate its power like Madara Uchiha had. She was also kind to the woman whose husband was Hashirama Senju. That bastard Hashirama Senju is incredibly powerful. Unfortunately, the Nine Tails felt a little regretful. The Nine Tails stood proudly within the sealing barrier, its chakra continuously flowing into Uzumaki Mito's body. Its eyes glared arrogantly at Emiya Shiyuan beside it. "Emiya Shiyuan, you'll regret this. When you witness the Nine Tails' true power, you'll regret not agreeing to let me become its Jinchuriki over 1,000 years ago, huh?" Hashirama Senju looked at Shihara Emiya curiously, asking in surprise, "Didn't you say that Emiya-sama wanted to become the Nine Tails Jinchuriki? What does this mean, asshole?" The Nine Tails glared at Hashirama Senju with some irritation. "Hashirama," Uzumaki Mito quickly called out to her husband. "Brother." Tobirama Senju frowned and quickly pulled his brother aside, hoping he wouldn't say anything and affect the seal. Seeing his brother still trying to question Shihara Emiya, Tobirama quickly whispered the real answer. Even at this point, did he understand what the Nine Tails meant? The Nine Tails, the tail beast, certainly had a shameful past. It had undoubtedly volunteered to be sealed within Emiya Shiyuan, only to be rejected. This legendary sage, even a tailed beast willingly became his companion, and even that was the most ferocious and powerful nine tails in the world. Emiya Shiyuan watched as the nine tails figure gradually vanished within the ceiling barrier, transforming into a streak of orange rainbow light and merging into Uzumaki Miro's body. Emiya Shiyuan held many secrets. Many of the Jinchuriki's secrets could not be hidden from the tailed beasts. Even in this era, the Nine Tails' philosophies would inevitably diverge from his own, and it truly could not comprehend Emiya Shiyuan's thinking. These tailed beasts, created by the Six-Path Sage, were born with a deep bond to him. In ancient times, the Nine Tails had departed before. Its departure was a choice. Emiya Shiyuan felt a pang of longing for the slug. Perhaps only the slug he had raised from childhood would unconditionally support his every decision, even if it knew his true identity. The Nine Tails will always favor the Six-Path Sage. Emiya Shiyuan will not regret this, for he knows that his old friend, the Nine Tails, was created by the Six-Path Sage after all, and the deep bond between them is something his true self could never achieve. A gentle breeze blew across his face. A golden light suddenly emanated from Uzumaki Mido. This red-haired woman of the Uzumaki clan seemed draped in gold. Her hair and even her entire clothing shrouded in golden chakra. Two fox-ear horns, like golden ribbons, sprouted from Miro's head, and 6 jet-black magatama appeared at the collar of her golden dress. This golden chakra was so abundant. It invigorated Mido's weary spirit. As the first Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, Mido's chakra was particularly striking, and even her aura was rising. She had received a gift from the Nine Tails. Nine Tails Chakra Mode. Only a Jinchuriki could truly unleash the power of the tailed beasts. Mido Uzumaki, the Jinchuriki, could clearly feel the terrifying increase in her own strength under the influence of the Nine Tails Chakra. This, Hashirama Senju's face was filled with surprise, and he stared in disbelief at the chakra leaking from his wife. This chakra is almost catching up with mine. You can actually use the Nine Tails Chakra directly. Emiya observed the golden light emanating from Mido Uzumaki and praised softly, "It's willing to let you use its chakra. It seems you and the Nine Tails get along well." The Nine Tails is indeed easy to get along with. Mido Uzumaki's eyebrows drooped slightly. The Nine Tails was actually quite arrogant. However, Mido Uzumaki could only speak well of it. Because the Nine Tails was Emiya's friend, she really didn't dare to imprison and seal it completely. Fortunately, the Nine Tails didn't object to her contact. Her only concern was the Nine Tails, sealed within her body, urging her to use its chakra quickly to kill her husband, Hashirama Senju, and then challenge Emiya Shiyuan. However, this wasn't the end of the Jinchuriki and the tailed beasts. Uzumaki Miro could clearly sense that her use of the Nine Tails chakra wasn't entirely smooth. She and the Nine Tails didn't yet have complete trust. This crude Nine Tails chakra mode was merely a reluctant concession from the Nine Tails, out of respect for Emiya Shiyuan. The Jinchuriki's journey had only just begun. She still had a long road ahead. Beyond her ability to harness the Nine Tails chakra, Uzumaki Mido was more concerned with another issue, a disturbing discovery. As a member of the Uzumaki clan, Mido possessed a vast chakra reserve and possessed powerful perceptions, even capable of discerning good and evil in humans. The Nine Tails chakra mode could also sense good and evil in humans. This combined power heightened her perception. This was precisely why Uzumaki Miro felt uneasy. Everyone present could distinguish between good and evil, hostile and hostile. However, Mido's chakra had long since been restored by the Nine Tails, and even with the Nine Tails chakra mode, she still couldn't sense any emotion from Emiya. Only occasionally, when Shihara mentioned the Nine Tails, could she detect a hint of kindness. Uzumaki Miro's brows furrowed slightly. What would this ancient medical ninja think of them, the later generations? Why couldn't they sense his kindness or ill will? "You seem to be probing me." Shihara's words revealed the truth. He asked, seemingly curiously, "Is there something wrong with me?" As a ninja with both a keen sense of vigilance and a keen sense of perception, Emiya prioritized this aspect of his training more than anyone else. He knew the troubles of the ninja world. In ancient times, Emiya worried about being constantly monitored by Black Zetsu. Uzumaki Mido was silent for a while. The woman thought of Shihara's reputation and his help in her becoming the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, and she also admitted a bizarre idea. "We, the Uzumaki clan, have powerful perception abilities. I can sense the good and evil of humans, and the Nine Tails chakra can also sense the good and evil of humans, but we can't perceive it." Uzumaki Miro frowned, staring closely at Emiya Shiyuan in front of her, revealing her hidden worries between her lips. "Lord Emiya has emotions." In the air, the atmosphere became slightly strange. Only the Nine Tails had lived with Emiya Shiyuan in ancient times. The Nine Tails could sense the good and evil of humans since it was a child, and it was also surprised that it could not feel Emiya Shiyuan's emotions. At that time, the Nine Tails was still simple and ignorant. Therefore, the Nine Tails took the initiative to ask this question. The young Nine Tails got an answer from Emiya Shiyuan, an answer that made it a little unhappy. At this time, the Nine Tails realized that his own Jinchuriki had also asked this stupid question, and couldn't help but sneered mockingly. "Hey, are you woman thinking too much?" In ancient times, Emiya Shiyuan was on the road to cure diseases and save lives every day. He has saved more patients in his life than you have ever seen. In his eyes, there is no difference between patients. For us, Uchiha Madara is a bastard who must be executed. In the eyes of you high-ranking guys, the common people who never want to be taken seriously are also a group of worthless trash. But for Emiya Shiyuan, whether he encountered the seriously injured Uchiha Madara or an ordinary person with a serious illness on the roadside, he would choose to save people, because he is a doctor who cures diseases and saves lives. Even the old man Six Paths, who you humans worship as a god, is no different from an ordinary human in his eyes. Who do you think you are? You woman, why do you think you guys are worthy of Emiya Shiyuan's attention? It's a bit too greedy. Please vote for the monthly ticket and read on. Uzumaki Miro and Uzumaki Naruto's Nine Tails chakra mode, which can sense good and evil, enemies and allies in humans. Karin's Kaguya heart eye, which can tell if someone is lying. Above the Nine Tails chakra mode is the Kirima mode, where Uzumaki Naruto and the Nine Tails understand and trust each other. Chapter 25. I hate this era. Isn't it the fault of your era? Uzumaki Miro's heart was shocked. The answer of the Nine Tails in her body was so harsh. However, this answer was so real. Why should Konoha want the kindness of a saint who doesn't care about the Sage of Six Paths? Mr. Emiya, after listening to the Nine Tails explanation, Uzumaki Miro realized her arrogance and wanted to come forward to explain with some shame. "I'm really sorry, my question was a bit too abrupt." Uzumaki Miro felt a little sorry for her abruptness. Even because of the Nine Tails explanation to her, she felt even more guilty and regretted asking that question subconsciously. But now the Nine Tails gave an answer that made people feel inferior. It made Uzumaki Miro feel vaguely that she and the people of this era were a little ashamed in front of Emiya Shiyuan. Mito's perception must be wrong. Senju Hashirama hurriedly stopped his wife. Still somewhat impressed by his childhood role model, he loudly explained, "The first time I used the Nine Tails chakra, it was definitely no mistake." Emiya Shiyuan smiled magnanimously, seemingly unaware that Uzumaki Miro could learn the answer from the Nine Tails. He waved his hand nonchalantly. "The question you want to ask seems familiar. I remember someone asked me that a long time ago." Uzumaki Miro felt a little embarrassed. This question had indeed been asked by the Nine Tails before, and she even knew the answer. She was thinking about how to smooth things over. However, Uzumaki Miro could never have imagined that this question and its answer were one of the reasons why Emiya Shiyuan and the Nine Tails first came into contact. Because the Nine Tails chakra pattern could sense the good, evil, and hostility of humans, Emiya Shiyuan had initially recognized this potential risk and sought to prevent future trouble. However, Emiya Shiyuan had not anticipated this. This question, which should have been delayed for decades, was now being asked of him. Perhaps this was the result of his friendship with the Nine Tails. "Your attitude isn't abrupt, I even think it's a little too gentle," Emiya Shiyuan soothed Uzumaki Miro, his voice gradually growing colder. "I don't know the true extent of your perception, but perhaps you should sense that I harbor more than just goodwill toward you, perhaps even a touch of disgust." Everyone present was shocked. "It's not that I resent you for destroying my body, for shattering the crystal coffin I left for future generations of medical ninja, nor is it that I resent you for disturbing the peace of my soul. In fact, I'm somewhat grateful to have returned to the living world." Emiya Shiyuan spoke his thoughts frankly, his arms slightly extended, looking at his hands. "It would have been much better if I hadn't discovered during the battle that this forbidden technique, used to return me from the underworld, required the sacrifice of a living life." Tobirama, Senju Hashirama looked at his brother again. "It's my fault." Senju Tobirama didn't care about his mistake and explained nonchalantly, "There is a clear gap between the ninjas of our time and the era of Lord Emiya. We treat our enemies with great harshness and don't care how we use their lives. Is this kind of thing worth making a fuss about? It's a difference in concepts between the two eras. Perhaps I'm just a little too sensitive. Emiya Shiyuan seemed to believe Senju Tobirama's words and said calmly, however, someone used living people as sacrifices to create a forbidden technique, which means that the other party has no respect for life itself and only treats human lives as tools and consumables. Senju Tobirama's face showed some uneasiness. No, this crime is a bit too serious. I'm a little sorry, actually, I kind of hate this era. As a medical ninja, saving a life is a difficult task, but for ninjas of your era, killing is like breathing. Killing is a normal thing for you that I cannot understand or accept. Emiya Shiyuan looked at the somewhat ashamed Hashirama Senju and Mito Uzumaki, then at the grim-faced Tobirama Senju, and said what he wanted to say most today. If you think I have no good intentions towards you, or even feel disgusted by your behavior, please don't be surprised. After saying this, Emiya Shiyuan bowed slightly to Mito Uzumaki in apology, hoping that she would forgive his honesty. From now on, I believe no one will doubt him anymore. The only problem is that when the truth is revealed, some people besides Black Zetsu might be upset. Uzumaki Miro quickly stepped back. After all, she knew it wasn't Emiya Shiyuan's fault. This is not a problem for Lord Emiya, Senju Hashirama sighed, with a look of shame on his face. It is the fault of our times, and we are the ones who should be most ashamed of it. Even so, Senju Tobirama frowned, but he did not argue after all, just sighed. Now is the best time in 1,000 years, huh? Just listen to him. Anyway, he always cares about the sick and the weak. The Nine Tails was lying in the sealed space of Uzumaki Mito, relying on the fact that Emiya Shiyuan could not hear it, and mocked Emiya Shiyuan nonchalantly. We should do what we should do. That guy is naive. There are many people in this world who deserve to die. And this guy Emiya Shiyuan always likes to hold on to that stupid idea of respecting life. So naive and stupid. In ancient times, he saved a lot of people who should not be saved, but the slug secretly followed and killed those malicious guys. But Mito Uzumaki frowned, unable to resist defending Shihara Emiya within the sealed space. It's not Emiya-sama's fault for respecting life. HMPH, he's too soft-hearted. The Kyuubi grinned, a malicious smile on his face. Just now, I wanted him to become a Jinchuriki because I wanted him to learn how to kill. You know, a good man like him, he's bound to be exploited by bad people. The Kyuubi finished speaking, immediately citing Senju Tobirama as an example. Now his soul can't even rest in peace in the underworld. Isn't that because you Konoha people are using him? Mito Uzumaki felt even more ashamed. Tobirama, unlock Emiya-sama's Impure World Reincarnation. Senju Hashirama's voice calmed down a bit. People of our time shouldn't disturb Emiya-sama's soul's peace anymore. Allowing his spirit to appear in our time is a defilement. Generally speaking, the calmer Hashirama Senju sounded, the more resolute he was. Hashirama, Mito Uzumaki looked at her husband with some concern. Brother, Senju Tobirama, trying to persuade his elder brother to calm down, quickly offered excuses. The situation within the village is still unstable, and other ninja villages are constantly eyeing the land of fire, where Konoha is located. Senju Hashirama's attitude was resolute, his expression becoming particularly stern. If I fail to change the ninja world before I die, it's my fault. And there's the threat of Madara. Senju Tobirama brought up Uchiha Madara's threat again. I will resolve Madara's problem before I die. Senju Hashirama's determination was unwavering. Emiya Shiyuan was silent for a moment. Did he seem to be exerting too much force? Alright, Senju Tobirama slowly joined his hands together in a seal, glancing at Emiya Shiyuan. He casually said, even if my elder brother's life were to end one day, Madara would destroy Konoha, and the ninja world would be plunged back into the Warring States period. I would risk my life. That's not necessary. Emiya Shiyuan quickly stopped Senju Tobirama. Fortunately, Senju Tobirama offered him a way out. Even if Senju Tobirama didn't offer him a way out, Emiya Shiyuan was going to persuade him himself, but it would be smoother if someone gave him a way out. Perhaps people who like to play tricks have a telepathic connection. Emiya Shiyuan felt that he and Senju Tobirama were sometimes quite compatible, and his eyes drooped slightly. The first Hokage of Konoha, I heard your story from your brother. He is right about one thing, your life is tied to the peace of this era. That's right, I also want to stay for a while. See if I still have the ability to change this era. Emiya Shiyuan reminded everyone present not to care about his ill will towards them. I hope that when we get along, You don't mind that I might not like your behavior. The ability to perceive good and evil is really a bug. This must be solved. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.